Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your favorite flesh hoodie. If you're a Night Lords fan, you can wear me. My name's Mark. Nice to meet you. Joining me on this weird, wacky episode of Konrad Curze. Man, I don't know much about him. So I got on like one of our Discord fanboys of Curze, not Lorehammer. Ursats, what's going on, man?
Going good. Yeah, I've wasted actually I don't know 5k on Night Lords, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to win me over on this episode. You know, you Discord members have been going hard in the comments. But yeah, let's see if at the end of the episode I'll let you make me into a flesh hoodie, essentially.
Okay. With lightning, because that's how it's done.
Perfect. We also got joining us, we got Court.
Hey, good to be here. I'd prefer if you kicked Logan out, but I'm glad to be here either way. I'm just kidding. Our next guest introduction is going to be the best because he's one of my best friends and I love him. But anyways, glad to be here. Konrad Curze, this is going to be a fucking wild episode. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, I just look at the minis. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a human face fleshed on something. And I'm like, oh, okay, neat.
What's not to love?
What's not to love, really? Yeah. Logan, are you in or out on the human face stitching onto? Do you want to have the human face, or do you want to be the human face?
So, as an Emperor's Children boy, I think that all faces should go into Lucius and his armor, because that's where faces really belong.
Yes, okay.
The proper way to display a face on your armor, not this barbaric shaving that's going on.
Yes. Okay.
And yes, audience, I am here to slander the Night Lords at every opportunity. I have my Raven Guard chapter master sitting on my boom mic, so if you're a video listener, you get to look at my pretty mini. I also have a chaplain to keep me safe from this heresy, so I'm ready for the episode.
Very good. Well, before we get into the start of this Primarch series, Konrad Curze and the Night Lords, let's do some quick housekeeping. Tell us about the Discord, Logan.
Yeah. So there is a Discord for the podcast. I think it's just called the Lore. It's just Lorehammer is the name of the Discord, but it's got a couple thousand members, I think, and it is a lot of fun. You get to see previews of what's coming. You get to interact with Mark. You get to interact with the other hosts. You get to see all the lies people tell. You get to see the lies they make up, and sometimes Mark reads those lies on the Lorehammer Listener podcast. So it's a great time. Come on in.
Wow, that's a perfect shill. I love that. Wow.
And then if you want to go even deeper and further in the levels of Lorehammer, please, you guys can join the Imperial Tithe and support the show directly by being part of the Patreon. So $2.50 a month gets you the ad-free version of all episodes. You don't have to deal with ads anymore. Skip your little thing. Boop, 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 boop. Nope. They're gone. And for $5 a month, you get the video version. You get to see all the zaniness that happens when we actually record these videos, because you can see our beautiful faces, look at the cool things I hold up, like, oh, look what I found on eBay. You can look at Logan's gorgeous beard that is in competition with Mark's at this point. I think it's fair to say, gentlemen, that there is a little competition happening.
Yeah, I'm blonde, so it hides it a little bit. So in person, I'm a little more feral. But you can also see badass minis like what Sam's made. He has this sweet fucking demon Primarch Night Lord.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, cool, you play AOS? Because that's the Laukavai model. And he's like, no, that's a demon prince.
He says, no, I'm not cringe.
Come on. Come on.
I prefer guns.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Guns and skin. That's what I'm all about. Guns and skin.
America from the New Zealander.
Close enough. We also like guns and skins in New Zealand. And yeah, you can join the live stream and come and see my minis. And if you're lucky, I also have meerkats. Mother the Meerkat legend on the Discord. So maybe if you join the Patreon, come to the live stream, you can come and see all sorts of stuff. I've seen teeth as well, human teeth.
Yeah, man, I still get asked about Small Cat. And like, oh, can Small Cat come back in the studio? So yeah, hopefully we get to see a meerkat, because those things are fucking tight.
Yeah. So if you join the live chat room, you might, maybe, if you're good, if you all convert, you can see some meerkats too.
Yeah. We see Jax in the comments. He's got the first comment, my glorious cruise. And he even beat me in my episode description post. So the Cruise boys are chomping at the bit.
I like
He beat you almost 5 hours.
I was gonna say, I like to think of this like he's just right behind the velvet rope, like he's the one camped out in front of the store waiting for this to open, and he's like, "This is it. This is my episode."
Wearing his favorite flesh cape.
Yep, and that's no tent. I'll tell you what. That's no tent.
But we got one more quick thing before we get to the actual episode. The Liber Malleus Sundering. You guys have heard we're doing another campaign. Man, the last episode was crazy. We took a vote and to see the fate of the chapter, and the options were: do we go Primaris, like do we cross the Rubicon, or do we stay Firstborn and go on a penitent crusade? And the vote went the third option, of course, which was chaos. So we fell to chaos. We fell to chaos. Well, that was very cool to see happen. Honestly, I did not expect that. I had all my minis lined out of Firstborn I wanted and fucking Primaris Marines I wanted. No, we're going chaos. But we are starting an auction now. So we're auctioning off some coveted positions in the new warband, such as the Chaos Champion and 3 Chaos Chosen. And we are doing that over May 13th to 19th. 13th through 19th. So basically, if you're listening to this live, you got 1 week. Or 2 weeks in if you are listening to it on the podcast stream, 1 week. So you got 1 week to auction and bid on these. And how you do it is you do the wow, I can't read tonight. It's nice. How you do it is you email lorehammerpodcast@gmail.com, and then you name the Astartes that you want, for example, 1 Chaos Champion, and then your silent bid, minimum of $55, and the Chaos Champion is going to be for the champion and 50 for the chosen. All these details are on the Discord if you need to go look. And then at the end of each day, I'm also going to announce on the Discord, like, okay, what is the current bid of this guy? Did anyone bid? And if not, whatever, who cares? Maybe the next day somebody will support the chapter, and that rank, the background, people will be fighting for it. So we're going to wait till May 19th, and then the 3 highest bidders will get a position of chosen, and then the highest bidder will get the position of champion. So going to be pretty cool to see those go. When we did the other ones, I know people are like, oh, how do I get that sergeant? And people are like private messaging me like, come on, give it to me. Come on. We just met. I don't know you like that, but yeah.
Oh man.
The Liber Malleus is growing already. People have been buying off veterans. You can go buy veterans now, and we've actually funded enough now to buy the whole infantry side of Chaos.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so we're collecting, I think it's 30 Terminators somewhere in there. So yeah,
let's go.
We're growing the ranks, man. It's pretty cool.
Question,
pretty cool to see.
Mark.
So definitely get involved. Yeah.
So when you bid and buy one, so you're successful in your bid and whatnot, do you get to name your actual mini and stuff?
Yeah. So you get to name the mini, you get to pick its war gear. There is an episode with all these details that is out called the Liber Malleus one. It will be right before this one.
Cool.
So if you want all those cool details on what war gear options do I pick, what positions in this company are actually existent, you can go check out that episode for more details.
Sweet.
Yeah. I think you get your own tag too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's a tag in the Discord. The Liber Malleus Astartes. Man, we sold out the last 2 times I did this, and I was just blown away. Wow, people really want me to have my plastic crack addiction. It was the opposite of rehab, or the opposite of
they're just enabling you. Yeah,
that's the word, and I'm quite happy about it.
There you go.
All right, let's get into this episode.
Feeling. I think it's the same feeling when you get a reply from a famous Instagram person. I'm guessing that's what they're going for. I got a mini. Mark's touched my mini.
It's like selling the bathwater.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah. That's okay. We'll get there eventually, I'm sure. All right. So Konrad Curze, the Night Haunter. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to do our typical kind of Primarch organization. So Origins and Great Crusade this episode, and we're going to go through Nostramo, the Youth, the Night Hunter, the Dark King. These are just kind of his titles progress as he goes down the darkness of his own skinning. And then the coming of the Emperor, and things get light for just a little bit. And then the Great Crusade happens, and he goes back to his own ways. And then the Night Lords kind of see the rot within the Imperium, and then they take drastic measure, and I'm not going to say what that is, but that's kind of where we're going to leave it. So Night Lords fan probably know what that drastic measure is of what they did, but we'll leave it there. And then we'll talk about, what does this guy look like? Does he look like Bruce Wayne? Or does he look more like Christian Bale from like The Machinist, where he's all like gangly and gross, you know?
Oh.
It's hard to say. We'll find out. And we'll go into his personality and his war gear. So
Yeah.
He's got some cool guns. He's got a gun called the Widowmaker, so pretty fucking rude to shoot mothers and stuff, but whatever.
I don't think he discriminates though. The children,
The Widowmaker
mothers.
kills men.
Yeah, the Widowmaker
it's
makes
both.
widows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit. You're
He's
right.
just saying he's killing women. We're like,
okay,
no.
so maybe he's not that bad. Okay, this is okay. This is why I needed.
I mean, he does
Sam here
kill
to talk
women
to me.
though.
Yeah. Fuck.
I have
the
two
widower would
things.
in the gun.
I have two things with this episode that one I will not reveal. I will reveal at the end, but I'm going to say it right now. My secret bid, and bid not for the Liber Malleus, my secret number is going to be 4. And so at the end of this episode, I'm going to reveal if we hit this number. And I'm not going to say what yet, but I'm just going to say
Okay.
I'm going to say 4.
I'm putting that in the end show notes. I am super curious.
Okay.
4?
But the other thing is, will Court cry in this episode? Because
yes,
I know Logan's going to say yes right away, but this is one because I'll just say, like, I really do like Konrad Curze, and I think this is a possibility where this could be a very emotional episode. I don't know.
I want to like him. I want to learn, you know.
Yeah.
But so far, I've just seen the flesh skin faces. You know?
It's okay. I think no one likes him really.
Does he even like
You're
himself?
on the same level. No, I don't think so.
No, he doesn't. But that's what makes him cool.
Is 4 the number of times you're going to cry this episode?
No.
Is it going to be more or less?
No. No. But
handshake, yeah. That's a handshake.
Yeah, it's a handshake. No, this we'll see. It might be 3, might be 4, but we'll see. All right. So let's dive right in and we'll see what happens. Here we go. All right. So let's start with Konrad Curze, his origins, and the Great Crusade. We're going to start off with a quote. "It is better by far to be an object of fear than of respect. For one is a truth of the soul, and the other is an illusion of the mind." This is from the Codex Hydra, not to be confused with Hydra Thoughts. Great YouTube channel. Logan, love you. But yeah, I think that says it right there. It sets our little bit of a tone. So here we go. Konrad Curze, known to many as the Night Haunter, a name he clung to like a curse, also bore titles such as the Dark King, the King of Terrors, and the Last Judge. He was one of 20 primarchs wrought by the Emperor of mankind during the late 30th millennium, and he ruled over the 8th Legion, the Night Lords, once champions of fear, now damned heretics. From the moment of his birth, the Night Haunter was plagued by nightmarish visions of death and ruin, harrowing glimpses of a future soaked in blood. These precognitive horrors gnawed at his sanity, leaving deep scars in his soul that would never heal. The torment of his mind, shaped by a savage youth on Nostramo, consumed what humanity he had left. In pain, he turned to terror. He fought with a savage cruelty, wielding fear like a blade, teaching his legion that dread was more potent than mercy. But there was no joy in his war, only grim necessity. Unlike his brothers, Curze held no love for the warriors crafted in his image. To him, they were tools in a futile struggle against a destiny he had foreseen but could never change. So already, right off the bat, I like that we get the sense of doom and like nihilistic despair right off the bat, like where there is no promise here. It is just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, and like he's read in the grim dark of the far future. There is only war, one too many times, and he bought into it.
Mm-hmm.
I when writing the notes, a big thing that comes up is this kind of like, his dreams and his visions, and like, should you buy into all of it though? Could he have changed it? What side did he choose? We don't know yet.
Were these psychic visions that he was having?
Yes, I think so. I'm pretty sure he's quite psychic.
Is he?
Yeah. I think it's good though, because he treats his Marines just like the Emperor treats the rest of everyone.
That's what I was thinking too. Like that mirrors a lot of kind of how they view themselves during the heresy. Is like, are we just a tool? Like, is this not a relationship thing here? Are we just a means to an end? Yeah.
Okay, I'll get on to good old Nostramo. So Nostramo was a world of shadows, cloaked in endless night beneath a sky choked with poison. Its dying star cast no light upon the surface, its faint glow lost to an ever-churning smog. Noon and midnight were indistinguishable, and the only illumination a pallid blue glow reserved for the elite who dwelled in the upper spires. Far above the ash-cloaked slums, below the masses toiled and died in endless foundries and chemical hellscapes, their breath blackened by the very wealth, adamantium, there we go, and made their suffering profitable. I've been in Japan for too long. The planet's crust was laced with that priceless metal. Its veins bled dry by thousands of mines and factories. Every breath drawn was a sentence. Every cough a prelude to death. Suicide was common, not from madness, but from clarity. Law was a myth, murder the only rule. The strong devoured the weak. Gangs ruled every street, every spire, every graveyard of the forgotten children. Learned quickly that the blade was judged, jury, and executioner. The 5 great hives, prime through Quintus, stood like tombstones, monolithic and silent beneath the dead sky. Iron bridges spanned ravens of soot, and cathedrals of industry rose above slums like shrines to suffering. Smoke curled through every alley, warping the world in a shroud. The people pupilled eyed specters born the legend of the legacy of wait, I've forgotten how to read. Sorry.
This is why we have editors. It's all good.
Yeah. I'm an editor though, so it doesn't help at all.
It's going downhill, guys.
Generational, there we go. Despair, hardened into suspicious cruelty and indifference. Even the nobility were monsters, clad in finery and masks. They were parasites, no different from the underhive gangs they controlled. Titles were lies, thrones were built from corpses, and every ruler wore a crown of filth and fear. The planet bled thin. If Nostramo birthed monsters, it was only because it knew no saints.
Ooh, yeah. This planet is like peak grim dark 40k. These like massive hive spires covered in soot. But it does have this like interesting kind of, I guess most hive spires have like the wealthy elite in the upper hives, but like these ones are really wealthy because they're selling adamantium to everyone. This like, the super fake space metal that's made up for 40k. So you get this like grim, dark place, but then up on the top spires, it's pretty cool.
Great vacation spot. Like,
yeah.
Are you guys not intrigued by this? Like, this sounds lovely to me. Darkness, like gothic spires. 100%. The sun is not shining in your face. I fucking love that. That sounds great.
I'm like down in Panama. I'm like, oh man, if it rains too many days, I get sad.
I'm like, if the sun shines too many days, I get angry. This is great. And just to push my nerd glasses up a little bit and do our first double nerding, adamantium is also part of the Marvel universe because that's what Wolverine's claws are made out of.
Oh yes,
not even just his claws. It's his full skeleton is adamantium. So, actually, there we go.
Yeah, so 40K didn't make it up, but
Actually,
it is
Yeah.
not a real.
No,
it's not
it's
element 169 or whatever, you
unobtainium.
know.
Yeah.
Unobtainium. Yeah.
Unobtainium.
Yeah.
Absolute peak.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I do love a good origin story. So we got this planet, and now Konrad Curze lands on it. I got a quote. We'll see who has the best Konrad Curze voice, because there's a lot of quotes from him in this episode. So, a glowing child form it was. Oh, this one isn't Curze. We'll get there, though. Don't you worry. So this isn't don't put this one forward. A glowing child form it was, crawled from the pit onto the broken street, hissing molten metal dripping from his limbs. It was a demon, no less, with the body of an infant, but the expression of an old man. Its eyes black and cold as obsidian. From the Arcana Progenium of Nostramo Quintus, detailing the arrival of infant primarch Konrad Curze on Nostramo. Fucking cool description of him just landed crawling out with dripping metal. I wonder if that happened to all of them, or if like something malfunctioned with his pod, and that kind of fucked him up a little bit too, and kind of made him crazy. But it also could just be a fun description.
It seems darker than the rest. Like we've had a little bit of the origin stories from like especially like Horus, but like this one definitely seems a little more dramatic.
Dark from the get-go.
Yeah, dark from the
Dramatic,
get-go.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
According to the Forbidden Chronicle scrawled in his own hand, entitled Only the Dark, the first memory of the Primarch Konrad Curze was one of descent. A soul cast down from the stars in a shrieking orb of lightning, plummeting into the eternal black of Nostramo. Torn from Terror's cradle by the spiteful whims of the ruinous powers, his Justinian pod tore into the festering heart of Nostris Quintus, piercing strata and rusting ruin and ancient ash, plundering past the poisoned crust of the volatile churning fires beneath the earth. His arrival burned a wound into the planet's adamantium bedrock, a sundered scar upon the world already broken. The unnatural violence of his birth gorged a crater that no eye wished to behold. The people buried it, fearing the omen. That he ever emerged from the pit is a miracle, or a nightmare, for he would have arise through molten death, or be spat forth from the planet's volcanic fury. Nostramo was a tomb world, orbited this is not capital tomb world, it's just not just clarification. I don't want another actually thrown at me, Court.
Don't like muster
don't
the fury
tempt
of
the
the
man with an
Necrons.
actually.
Yeah.
This is like a lot of dead bodies here.
Yeah.
Orbiting a sun all but extinguished, its feeble light too weak to pierce the choking gloom. The world was veiled in adamantium, and so Imperium demanded its harvest. Great cities festered above the mines, home to billions who endured ceaseless labor in filth and shadow, while cruel elite gorged themselves atop the towers of steel. The lightless sky bred despair like rot. Suicide was more common than childbirth, and sorrow settled in the lungs like coal dust. But how would the population carry on, you might wonder?
I think this seems to answer a little bit of your previous question there, Mark, of like what happened to like his pod, like was this a malfunction or whatnot? Like I think it's literally like he just slams in and it melts part of the adamantium, like his impact, and as he's coming out, like that adamantium is what's coming off of him. So like
I got like a more like you talked about that violent bit though, like the way it was described, it was very like he it felt like he was awake there, and it felt like the impact was more devastating. Like no other place do we have this like actual like
crater kind of
crater
thing. Yeah.
You know, and we found a lot of primarchs. We found them all, and no place had the same devastation. So I wonder if he like his visions of the warp were stronger because he was flung through the warp and then flung out hard, or you know, all these little things that just kind of tie in at the very beginning here. I think it leads a lot more to him.
Yeah, for sure.
Unlike his brothers, no arms received Cruz upon his arrival, no adoptive home. No guiding hand, he emerged from the abyss alone, a child of nightmare, reared by the silence and the sound of distant screams. He learned to stalk the feral things that prowled the decaying underhive, feeding himself on flesh and fear. From the first, he was haunted. Visions of agony yet to come tormented him in waking dreams, unceasing and cruel. He alone of all the Emperor's sons grew without love or kin, forged in horror, tempered by madness. Alone in the dark, the boy would become the Night Hunter, was carved from marrow and despair, a shadow birthed by a dying world. Yeah, so he's just kind of no loving hand, man. So I'm a new parent, so you read a lot of kids' book, and just like you read about babies that don't feel the touch of their mother, and they literally die, man. Like if they don't go long enough, like a child, it's the craziest thing. Like, and then so you have this immortal primarch that's not killing, but it's gonna really mess him up.
I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but like feral children is a huge.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do it for my degree in linguistics, but it stuffs kids up. Like they're completely different, and you can't fix it. Like they're stuffed up for the rest of their life after being left alone. So explains a lot.
Can you go into that just a little bit, Sam? Just because I'm not super familiar with that concept.
So feral children are like children who are either abused and left in a room by themselves, so like no contact with other people. Like there's a few that have been like locked up with chickens and they start acting like chickens. It's a whole big rabbit hole if you want something interesting to look into.
I don't think I want to look into that, but yeah. Man.
It gives you quite a big insight on just how human culture and how language is developed, because it's really the only way to really test how that happens.
Interesting.
Makes me feel like a good dad, I'll tell you that.
There was one girl that they found. She lived out in the woods for a while, and then I think she learned how to read and speak, but she never learned how to be a person. She still ran on all fours and growled at people. I think her name was Janine or Jeannie.
Yes. So she was left in a room by her parents. So she could read and write because they'd come in and give her food, but she was like strapped down to a chair for like the first 12 years of her life.
Oh, I thought she was out in the woods.
Yeah, so this kind of thing is devastating, even for primarchs. Even Perturabo and all his father issues still did have a daddy, still even had like an adopted dad on I forget his homeworld's name, but
I've spent so much time pooping on Curze that I'm struggling not to laugh reading this part of the story. For the simple reason that this is giving one-time villain cartoon character tragic story vibes. Like I was born on here and my mother left me and it was raining and it was just black. Like I know this is a tragic story.
Leave Curze alone!
Hating on him.
Leave him alone!
It's just making me laugh.
Just another asshole who never gave him a chance, and I apologize for that now.
He's just Megamind, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is a Nickelodeon villain. Cool. Whereas if Jax is in chat, that's how I'm going to refer to him from now on. I'm going to call him a Nickelodeon villain.
Oh my gosh. Have you no heart, sir?
Not for a Nickelodeon villain. All right, the Night Haunter. We're going to start with a quote. By reason, by truth, I have learned how your hearts and minds function.
Wait. This is a Konrad Curze quote, so let's hear your Konrad Curze voice.
Yeah, I was going to say at the end, that's poor accent.
All right, here. Yeah, you fucking wanted to make fun of him? Now you gotta be him. Action.
Be him.
By reason, by truth, I have learned how your hearts... Everyone just did everything. For audio listeners, they all just touched their face at the same time.
It hurt. It physically hurt what you did to us.
They're like, how? We're going to go into doing something silly.
You've got a good voice for this.
Do you want me to use this voice?
Yes, there you go.
No, not your deep, sexy voice. Please, no.
Get the hands up, gentlemen.
We'll do that. We'll do the edgier one. By reason, by truth, I have learned how your hearts and minds function. With that lore, I brought peace to this culture, at the cost of freedom. Peace reigns as I reign. I wouldn't expect your little minds to understand. You are a little man with little dreams. You've ushered in the peace of the graveyard. Peace at the cost of surrendering all choice, all freedom. The city lies in terror, forced to live by the standards you place upon our shoulders. Yes, yes. But every sin is punished, but punished by death, no matter the crime, no matter the scale of the sin. The people of the city live in silence, lest a single word earn them death for speaking out against you. Yes, listen. Listen to the sound of raw silence. Is it not serene?
And cut. Well done. All right, very good.
Yeah, I don't even think we have to try to beat that. Fuck.
Oh, dude, when you started laughing, I was like, don't laugh in the mic. Don't like this. For audio listeners can't hear. I'm like 2 inches away from the mic so that I don't have to like push my voice very hard to get it that deep. And when Mark started laughing, I was like getting ready to just blast right into it, a full laugh.
Fucking sent like shivers up my spine, man. It's so fucking creepy.
It is important to.
Yeah, I forgot I had that voice too. I was like, what voice do you guys want?
I know that voice
that one.
very well.
Yeah, you do.
It's important to just bring up also, because I know we kind of cut you off here, but like the context of that quote. So just to kind of,
please,
yeah, go for it. No, this is all you, but I think it is important.
Oh, okay. You want me to keep going?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Excuse me. All right. Alone and unloved.
No. The quote itself. No? Like, who's he talking to?
Yeah, I thought someone threw that in there really quick. The Night Haunter addressing a gathering of Nostramo nobles?
Yeah. So he's talking to the nobility here. Like he's addressing the nobles, the upper class, like the ones that shit on everyone. That's fucking rad.
And not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Yeah, there you go.
I love.
He's showing everyone how to really fight the 1%, and it's with violence.
Lorehammer does not support that. Lorehammer legal, but hey, whatever you want to get up to on your weekends, up to you, man. I don't give a shit.
That's funny.
I love that last line. Yes, listen to the raw sound of silence, man. Oy, oy, oy.
It's weird because Japan's very much like this. Like if I walked outside now, like 5 million people, you can't hear anyone.
Like even in like raw nature, you hear sounds but just man,
nothing.
Have you ever been around like when there's like an eclipse and like everything gets this weird tingly vibe and everything, nature goes quiet too and stuff? Oh man, the same kind of feeling.
Sounds awesome.
It's just weird.
So I just got reminded, and now this is going to be funnier with my slandering of Cruz, of an anime from Japan called Licorice Recoil, where there's a bunch of schoolgirls that kill criminals before they commit crimes. Nice. And now that's making me think of
what the fuck is this?
Licorice Recoil. It's really good. But now that's what I'm going to think of the Night Lords. It's a Nickelodeon villain.
Nickelodeon anime.
It's a Nickelodeon villain running Licorice Recoil.
Yeah, okay, that's one image for sure. I'll go with it.
Jax is mad. He says, keep Japan and curse out your mouth. He's gonna slap me when he calls me in.
So
when we call him in.
As long as you don't say Disney, I think you're okay.
I'm not even gonna try. So don't worry, audio listeners. I won't try that. All right. Moving on. Alone and unloved. A gaunt feral child shivered amid the carcass of a ruined world, nesting in its shattered husks of buildings and sleeping upon cold rooftops. He scavenged like a beast and slaughtered without pity. For even in infancy, his sinews were iron and his mind a razor. A will forged for torment, wedded to a gaze that saw through lies and shadows alike. The screams of the tortured were his lullabies, Echoing in the dusk like dirge. Is that dirges? What is a dirge?
Yeah, dirges.
It's like a hymn or a song. I mean, like a
lament for the dead,
Yeah.
especially one forming a part of a funeral rite. Huh, interesting, cool. Learn something new on Lorehammer every time. Echoing in the dusk like dirges, and in sleep he dreamt not of warmth, but of distant wars, stars. Oh, distant wars, comma, stars drowned in fire, corpses stacked like mountains to extinction. When he awoke, the screams lingered still, rising not from the dreams, but from the streets below. He belonged to the dark, a soul cast in silence. In that abyss, he was neither man nor god, but something colder. He killed to live, and in killing, he learned the truth. He was not one of them. The others broke beneath his hands, slow and soft. He gnawed on vermin, and when hunger clawed deeper, he consumed the flesh of the fallen. The sins of Nostramo seeped into him. He listened to the dying and stole their thoughts, watching the wicked and drank their cruelty. Knowledge bled into him through screams and gore. A mind like no other absorbed it all, the lessons of filth and fear, not to debase, but to become. In that crucible of despair, he could have become king of Carrion, a tyrant like the others, and yet something stirred, a faint echo of the Emperor's unseen hand. He might have ruled as a beast, but chose instead to become judge, executioner, and curse. Born in the darkness, he resolved to smother it in blood. He began with the wicked at his feet. Sin had been his first breath, and it surrounded him like air. One by one, the murderers vanish, then gangs, then syndicates. Buildings became crucifixes, skinned corpses their icons. Bridges dripped with human parchment, and heads stared blankly from iron railings. They named him not a boy, but Omen, the night haunter, to become a savior, to most an omen of doom, a murderer that made monsters tremble. So they hunted him, crime lords, black armored enforcers, and decadent nobles alike. But this pleased him, for it brought their throats to his hand. Few left alive bore his message, tongues intact, limbs ruined, eyes gone, whispering through sobs, he is coming. The night haunter follows those screams, and those who whisper their sins. His vengeance began in the shadows and spread like plague. At first, it was isolated vengeance, a blow struck in darkness. But soon he hunted and pursued those judged guilty in his unblinking mind. Prominent men disappeared, dissidents and psychopaths alike. Corpses surfaced like rot, flayed, shattered, and drowned in filth. Officials swung from windows with their entrails for nooses. Blood clogged the gutters. Some were so pulverized their own kin could not name them. For audio listeners, Court is throwing up the rock-on symbols right now. Within a year, Nostramo Quintus fell into terrified silence. The streets only knew of the hush of dread. His name was no longer a whispered hope, but a moan of terror. A world was broken beneath the weight of one soul's fury. And when the gunfire stopped, when the sinful dared not speak above a whisper, he emerged before them. The aristocrats, drunk on blood and gold, were given one choice: submit or perish. Some died where they sat, the rest bowed beneath his shadow. Nostromo belonged to the night haunter. The dark crowned its king, not in splendor, but in fear. And so began the reign of the first and last monarch the world would ever know, the Dark King, who ruled not through love, but through terrors of judgment.
Yeah, fucking
That's
crazy.
That's actually a lot cooler than the first half of the origin story was.
It's more in depth, for sure. That's like when you
There's
hit the
a cool
montage
story.
in the movie where he's just like that's the montage moments of like him stringing up dudes by their entrails, hacking off heads. Yeah.
Yeah, but not, because we were making the Nickelodeon jokes before it, now I've got like a Nickelodeon montage, but it's so gruesome.
Logan?
Yeah, we as a podcast.
No, we were double nerding. We're not double Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
There's a story, I think it was in his like specific book, where he got into some like worker lady's house and she was about to commit suicide, and he killed her before she could commit suicide because committing suicide is giving up.
Oh man. Yay, okay.
I don't know how I feel about
It's
that.
one way to live. It's a way to live.
Hmm.
So,
Did it
do you
slowly,
relate to you and Jax? Relate to the Night Hunter? Like, what part of this is the appeal?
No, I just like Batman.
Okay, well, that part's fucking tight. Yeah.
But Batman doesn't kill
No.
people. This guy is fucking destroying people. Not only
The Bat Who Laughed.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
man.
the Bat Who Laughed.
Yeah.
Like the same.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
Yeah, he's like the creepy Joker-ish Batman.
Yeah.
He's got like the spike thing.
That was a cool story.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Cool.
They have a cool color scheme too.
Yes.
Of all, it's interesting though. Like, of all the Primarchs, they all do make their planets better. You know, he had a vision, he enacted it. You know, they're still shipping out adamantium. I'm sure they've never had higher shipments.
Sure.
Ever.
Look, he's a man with a plan.
You know, man with a plan.
Yeah. He's a man of action.
And if you have to break a couple eggs along the way, or pre-suicide people.
Yeah.
He was probably the most competent at doing it as well, I think, out of all the Primarchs. Like, Angron was just going to kill everyone. Curze is like, I'll kill that guy, and that guy, because they're in charge. And I'll make a mockery of them. Yeah, I think that's something cool.
Do we have comparisons of Curze to the other Primarchs? Because I feel like if he had Gilliman's mom instead of nothing, he might have been actually really, really good.
I think that the problem is because of those visions, he's so stuffed up as well.
But what if they became more positive if he was in a positive environment? Like if his nurture was better, maybe the nature of his visions would have changed to be better. Like, oh, we're going to be short on crops. We need to plant more over here kind of thing.
Typically, normally I agree with that. But I feel like just the way his pod landed, man, I think, and with the visions, I think there's something that happened more to him in a different way during the actual transition in the warp. Because we know different Primarchs suffered different effects. Like Magnus the Red, you're telling me the Emperor made a giant red human? Or Sanguinius, maybe he did want an actual angel. Maybe, or maybe it was a crazy warp effect. And maybe poor Konrad's crazy warp effect is he's a fucking psycho, and that's the way it goes.
He's got kicked on the way out, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
I would take from both of your guys' points here. I think Logan's spot on in the sense that like some of that nature could have been altered in some sense. Is that going to linger? And ultimately, when he gets thrown into the mix with his legion and is given the excuse and reason to start killing and stuff, will that change and come out more? Probably. But I do think that like. Yes, there's warp fuckery at hand, which almost every Primarch had some play in. The warp had some play in their origin story. So, yes, I think, and maybe it's been answered in the novels because I really do want to read the Konrad Curze one, but it seems like these nightmarish visions are just straight up warp fuckery.
Yeah, like I just imagine when he's being flung through the warp, just one demon gets a lucky punch on his glass chamber, and a small leak goes in, and little, and that's enough to give him those dreams. And now he's got chaos tamed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the Dark King, which is just, man, this guy's no shortage of fucking rad nicknames. Very cool. What do we got here, Mark? We got a little quote action in the chat.
I was laughing at your joke there.
Oh, okay. What do we got?
But there's also, so maybe the vision shaped him to some extent, but his upbringing messed him up, is what Ellis Hodgkinson. Well, I don't want to say his last name.
Hodgkinson.
But yeah, I've never said him or seen you in the chat before. Hey, welcome to the chat.
Yeah, I think it's spot on too.
The planet probably stuffed him up too. I think, like if you look at old Sevatar, he's the same. Like he has parents, but he's still stuffed up.
Yeah, there's so many fun reasons like why we are the way we are. You know, I think that's what makes cool origin stories. So, all right, let's get into the Dark King. The Night Haunter became Nostramo Quintus's first and final monarch, devouring knowledge with a ravenous focus that bordered on obsession. He governed with a cold clarity, a reasoned calm that lasted only until whispers of injustice reached his ears. Then, alone and silent, he would walk with the lifeless avenues of the hive, stalking the guilty like death itself until exhaustion broke their fight. He did not kill swiftly. Their punishment was intimate, methodical, flesh parted, limbs shattered, yet always left just whole enough to be recognized. This grim ritual, paired with unexpected mercy and lucid governance, hurled the broken people of Nostramo into a new and terrible age of order. Production soared. Adamantium flowed like lifeblood to the stars. So yeah, there you go. He's right. Yep.
Economy's booming.
Yeah.
We're back at it.
Turns out slave labor is the way to go.
You just look, you got to tear some faces off a few people, leave them hanging up, and then boom, business is booming.
Profit.
He's just swinging on the political spectrum so hard to get rid of the 1%. Okay, now we're going to use slaves. Just back and forth.
Yeah, like Fuzz says, he's a man that gets results. It's true. Society reshaped itself around terror and parody. None dared rise above another. None dared sink too low. Wealth was shared not by kindness, but by decree. And beneath the unblinking gaze of the Night Haunter, the city grew brilliant, not with joy, but with the sterile glow of obedience. As Nostramo Quintus marched to this dreadful rhythm, the rest of the world followed, desperate to avoid the Haunter's visitation. In time, the hunt became unnecessary. Years passed, and silence settled. The hive no longer whispered crime, it barely breathed. Peace had not been achieved, but enforced. There was no rebellion, for there were no rebels left. All memory of defiance died with the first cries that echoed from his throne room. Images of flayed and ruined bodies broadcast to every home, their agony spilling into the homes of children and the old alike. These executions, made public and pitiless, ended the last flickers of resistance. His people knew the price of sin. Knew that the dark god who ruled them would descend at the faintest betrayal. In the dread, they found obedience. In fear, they embraced his vision of salvation. And so Nostromo endured. Its adamantium wealth flowed outward as it had for generations, but now at levels unmatched in all its history. Beneath the Dark King's rule, the mines bled faster, the refineries roared louder, and the furnaces of industry burned with unnatural fervor, a planet digging into its own flesh, even deeper, ever darker, to appease the one who brought it peace through horror. Ooh. Yeah, so this is where it's hard for me to kind of dig this dude and sympathize a little bit because it's not the Batman vibe. You know, we all, and I know Sam, like you were talking Batman and all that, like, but he gets the Batman vibe because he's like this vigilante out for justice and all that, but it's to a totalitarian like extent of just like ruling with an iron fist. This is what happens. No mercy. And no understanding, no sympathy, like it is death. And it's fear, 100% horror and fear. It's still really cool, but it's like, ooh, that's a little far, man.
He's like the worst form of Batman possible.
Yeah,
there
you're
have
right.
been a few stories where Batman does take over the city and rule it with an iron fist, but he just won't kill people. If he could kill people,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, then you got this guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to do the math on how many people a day do you have to kill to make that much of an impact in the hive city of 1 trillion people? You know,
I
like
know.
you're killing 10 a day, like 3,600 a year. That's not enough to make a dent in it. That's a blip in the radar. He has to be going hard, man, all day, every day, just out there solving crime by murdering everyone in sight.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because he has the old Primarch DNA, he just doesn't have to rest either. So he's just
going for it. Yeah,
whole week of stabbing.
we gotta get those numbers up.
Yeah.
Adamantium numbers are good, but stabbings by me are down. Get those up.
well, if you think about it, when he was younger and smaller, let's say he's killing maybe 10 people a night. If you hear stories about a hunkered over, shriveled up child running around killing people, and he's killing 10 people a night, it's 50 a week. That, even if it doesn't add up numerically, the fear of that is just gonna, like, hey, watch out. I saw that kid the other day. He's like 6 foot tall now. He's what?
Yeah.
He's what? Yeah, that kid that's killed, dude. He got 20 people last night. I think he's stepping up his goal. He's what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen somebody shoot him and he brushed it off. Then the legend grows. That's a great point of just how when you actually have a superhuman, how that legend could just grow. Like a dark soup. Sorry, Seth.
You know, I was gonna say, like, if you just think of like serial killers, even like whole cities shut down just to make sure serial killers don't go out and kill people, and they're killing what, like at the most 3, 4, 5 people. I'm guessing that'll.
You live in a safer city than I'm sure those Americanos do, and
yeah, no guns here.
Yeah.
Well, that reminds me, like the DC sniper was able to shut down entire areas for days at a time, and that was technically 2, but at the time they thought it was 1 guy in a truck. So
the guy, his kid, yeah,
picture it's 1 guy who is actually killing people, and they're finding the bodies, and they're seeing him, and he's like just waving at people and then going off into the dark again.
Yeah, because he's probably just not subtle either. Because like people just hanging around and stuff, like it's there for everyone to look at.
No, he's a man of drama.
Like, public
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
And as he gets bigger and better, he's plastering people up on the. So you do 1 building.
So
you do 1 building in a night.
Drama kid, this guy, took it a little too far.
Yeah, do 1 building, plaster some people up on the wall. You know, the next 3 buildings around, they're probably not going to do anything. They're going to be like, oh, you know, want that to be us. I'm gonna be good.
And at some point,
I'm won over by the chat. Some serial killers are in the 30 plus, not even gun users. So you know what? Yeah, I guess you really don't have to kill that many people in order to grow your legend. And if you're going out every night and killing 10, that legend is fucking crazy, regardless of if it's a hive of 1 trillion people. You won me over
as well,
but also
probably chooses.
The thing about it too, like, what's the communication like for the working class? Like, I'm sure you're not getting your Reddit posts and, you know, Instagram or whatever. Like, this is word of mouth, probably. Like, I know a guy who saw that dude that was flayed up on top of that building. Like, he said he saw that, and it just keeps going, perpetuating from there. And I would bet that a lot of the general population is seeing this and like silently cheering it on in the beginning. Like, yeah, like they're getting theirs. And then it starts creeping into their area, and it's like, well,
fuck that evil gang.
Yeah, but then it becomes like, wait, what did that guy do? He just stole like a loaf of bread or something? Oh shit, like I've done that. Like it starts then creeping into like not the cheering on of, yes, we're getting justice, yes, things are getting taken care of, yes, there's an even playing field. Now it's like, oh fuck, it counts for all of us, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And Hottie211, I know you said what you wanted to be called in the chat. Sorry. It says Hottie, not Hottie. Hottie in the chat.
I know, but I think he meant hoodie.
Maybe.
Yeah, isn't it hoodie?
That's what I thought. No. Hottie.
Doesn't hoodie have 2 O's?
HODDIE.
Sure.
Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
Laurel or Yanni?
My friend, yeah. In Predator 2, where Predator is in the city and skins those guys and like all the cops lose it. Yes. That's the vibe. Well done.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
reference. And a bit like Boondock Saints. Yes, we're getting guys. We're cooking here, baby. I love this. Chat, you're doing great. Yes, and
Well,
that's right. See, hottie.
Okay.
Boom.
There you go. The more you know. Okay, I'll get into another quote. This time, not from Curze. So, do I still have to do an accent?
No, you already have the accent.
Yeah, but this one won't. Oh,
He's kind of built it.
This one won't count. Okay.
I was like, what
I
the
tried to beat
fuck?
myself and I kicked it.
Yeah, I was
Logan got really excited.
He's like, you don't have to do an accent. Shut up! Kicked him out.
No,
Quiet court. The New Zealander
All
is speaking.
Yeah. It's only a few of us. I felt like, oh no, this isn't going well. Should I do a Father Ted accent, maybe? You're a racist now, Father. I felt I knew that. I felt I knew while the Emperor's ship changed course for the Bleak Orb, even before consulting the cards of the Lesser Arcani. They described great wealth, prosperity, stability, the moon, the martyr, the monster lay in the triangle. The king lay reversed at the fleet of the Empire. Strangely, the sign of hope was also reversed, and the horrific aspect of death, ever present, lay above the entire Table X. But the course was set, my misgivings as a mere breath against the maelstrom of his will. This quote was from a fragment of Astropath Thanquil. Is it Thanquil? Thoquel's
Quai.
personal record upon arrival of the Emperor's expedition. I've done it again.
Oh, Mark
I'm
got
gonna
it.
Expeditionary fleet in the Nostramo system. Curze knew the coming of the Emperor long before the event, for his cursed gift granted him glimpses of all that would be. The revelations came, as they always had, through visions steeped in agony. Now ruler of Nostramo, his sharpened transhuman senses twisted further, stretching past sanity into something monstrous. In the shadows of his soul, he felt the change, a withering maturity, a descent into the being that he was fated to become. Far above, the Emperor watched Nostramo's stagnant heart through divine machinery. He saw a population cowered into silence, made efficient by fear, shuffling through days under a sky without hope. They knew nothing of the Imperium's light, but their broken God-King ruled absolutely. He shaped the world into something orderly, perfect in its honor, or perfect in its horror. Exact in its conformity and numb in its obedience. Soon after the Night Haunter's grim dominion took root, the Great Crusade breached the reaches of the Nostraman stars. The Emperor's coming had been etched into the planet's myths, not as salvation, but as a harbinger of destruction. I think that's quite interesting, actually. Like, is it something linked to kind of how the Night Haunter views the Emperor, or is it something different, like how they view the Emperor as someone that's going to come destroy all that
Yeah, it's
that's
interesting
set up?
because you would almost think that there's two different versions where, like, the Emperor is going to come save us. We live in this terrible city, and the Emperor is this beautiful, shining, golden god, and he's going to come save us. But maybe they view him as like they're all just in nihilistic despair, so that this big thing's going to come to our planet, and what good can come of that? That's probably terrible. Destruction's going to happen.
Yeah, something else. I guess, yeah, from the first outsider being arriving on the planet doing all this, like a second one.
But it could have even been
God.
before that too, because I would assume that maybe the Emperor's myth kind of perpetuated before Konrad even was even on the planet. Maybe he predates that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it does look like. It's been there for a while. If it's the planet's myths, unless like the Night Haunter took over the planet like well before. I'm not sure.
That's a fun
Interesting
little
though.
thought, just on like we're going about the spread of information of Konrad Curze, but then also, yeah, how far did the Great Crusade's
Yeah.
information spread? You know, where okay, so now there's another person from outside coming to our planet. Like, yeah, I love that line of, well, fuck, the last one was awful.
Yeah.
And this is his dad, you're saying?
But they don't know that, I would say,
Shit.
and he certainly doesn't know that either. Conrad has no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Oh,
Conrad
because of
does
the
know.
visions? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I think it'll be a spoiler, but I'll if
Okay.
it's not a spoiler, I'll say it afterwards. What he says. Okay, so here we go. He descended, walking at the head of the host. Through Nostramo's choking dark, the people born in gloom could not withstand the Emperor's radiance. It burned their eyes, scorched their hearts. The city sobbed as one in the event remembered only as the delegation of light. All wept, not from joy but dread. Pale faces lifted to alien fire as the sky ignited with ship thrusters and thunder. The Emperor's glow struck the glistening streets like judgment. His soldiers advanced, solemn as tombstones. The stone trembled beneath 1,000 synchronized steps. Their formations gleamed with black, gold, and shades of royal death. Giants moved among them. Dreadlords towered above post-human warriors. At their head, the Emperor shone like a devouring sun, divinity clothed in flesh. His essence broke through his form, and to behold him was blindness. Those who dared gaze upon him saw nothing else from the rest of their lives, only the searing echo of God, who came to claim what was his. At the gates of his own nightmare-forged palace, Curze stood, silent, waiting. The legionaries halted. 250,000 stood still as death. 4 giants stepped forth. First was Rogel Dawn, cloaked in his gold and silence. He inclined his head with kingly gravity. Curze foresaw him dying alone, torn apart in tunnels, soaked with betrayal and blood. Next came the warrior prophet, clad in runes etched by pain, Lorgar Aurelian. He bowed his marked head in mournful reverence. His voice sang with sorrow for what he saw in the city's rot. Curze said nothing, already mourning the image of Lorgar ablaze in warp fire, crying out to the dead sky. Then Ferrus Manus, cloud in black, his silver limbs echoing the toil of machines, his voice grounded like industry, and his eyes held no illusions. Curze remained unmoved, already haunted by the visions of his brother's severed head, gripping by a traitor's mauled fist. Last came Fulgrim, draped in violet decadence. Alone he smiled, alone he reached out with warmth, offering a false peace. And Curze saw him in broken glimpses, flickering, monstrous, laughing in coils of shadows. Then the Emperor approached, arms wide, voice paused. But before a word escaped his lips, Curze collapsed, screaming at visions too dreadful to endure. He tore at his face to stop what he saw, only to be claimed by a touch upon his brow. Mercy flowed through his hand, searing pain, restoring clarity. When Curze opened his eyes, the god had become a man, terrible, eternal, but no longer divine. Those present would remember his words, etched forever in the echoes of history's descent. Be at peace, Konrad Curze. I have arrived, and I intend to take you home. That is not my name, father. My people give me a name, and I will bear it until my dying day. And I know full well what you intend for me. He bowed, not in obedience, but in grim acceptance. A soul enacting a fate he had long foreseen. With that submission, the destiny of the 8th Legion was chained to a road of ruin. Oblivion waited.
one by one, the primarchs is like, I've seen your death. I've seen your death. Oh,
Yeah.
well, you turn out all right. Your death. Fuck.
I think if that didn't gain any Night
Yeah.
Lords fans, I don't know what will. It's like one of the coolest things to happen in
And
40k ever.
I'm
Yeah,
so
what-
glad
what
that
a
you read
hero
that, Sam, and
lineup
not me, because
there.
that's the moment that I'd be crying. Right fucking there. Truly. That was a great job. Yeah. That was
just
so,
weepy.
man, it's so powerful. So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know the
that
plan.
was the old. Oh, sorry. That was the old bit I didn't want to ruin. Like he
Yeah,
already called
okay.
him father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Plans from the Tool. So we get into the Great Crusade. So I'm not gonna have the voice that beats Logan, but I'll give him my best. Look at my father's Imperium. Do not unroll a parchment map or analyze a holothic star chart. Merely raise your head to a night sky and open your eyes. It's not as good. I lost it. It's crazy. Okay.
I was gonna say, if you do the whole thing that way, you're gonna slowly
Yeah.
sound more like Mark by the end of it.
Yeah.
I think like this is a little bit on the Nostraman dialect as a whole. Apparently, it's really, really close to High Gothic. So I'm guessing it'll sound like kind of fancy the way that they talk.
Stare into the blackness between worlds, the dark ocean, the silent sea. Stare into the million eyes of firelight, each a sun to be subjugated into the Emperor's grip. The age of the alien, the era of the inhuman is over. Mankind is in its ascendancy, and with 10,000 claws, we have laid claim to the stars himself. So that's Konrad Curze addressing his legion during the Great Crusade. The Night Haunter bent his mind to the Imperium's doctrines with a cold intensity, absorbing the brutal logic of the Legiones Astartes under the guidance of Fulgrim. Curze led Fulgrim in rare esteem, not out of sentiment, but because, in the first fateful meeting, he saw no vision of death. For a soul cursed with constant foreknowledge of atrocity, that moment of peace was a cruel and fleeting mercy. Fulgrim's gentleness became a phantom comfort. Soon after, Curze was handed command of the 8th Legion, a force sculpted in his image, merciless, precise, and already marked by dread. He named them the Night Lords, and the galaxy would learn to whisper their name in terror. Their campaign quickly earned a reputation drenched in blood. They knew no restraint, only annihilation. Under the Night Haunter's shadowed hand, they were forged into an unfeeling instrument of retribution. Clad in armor painted with nightmares, terror became their scripture, and horror their sacrament. The Night Lords were not conquerors, they were omens of what happened to those who defied the Emperor. At Curze's command, they would descend upon a world, exterminate a chosen portion with theatrical violence, then offer the illusions of mercy to the survivors. Most accepted it. The alternative was crucifixion, skinning pits and cities choked with the screams of the butchered. Man, who has time? Fuck. It's just get a hobby.
Too much time, man. Jeez. Someone
Too
teach
much
this guy
free
to
time
knit.
these Night Lords have, I think. The mere rumor of their arrival could silence rebellion across the star systems. Worlds would offer up their ties, slaughter their deviants, and flay their own heretics before the Night Lords could even make orbit. But the peace they left behind was a piece of graveyards, and each act of terror etched deeper scars into the Legion's soul. Reunited with their father, the 8th Legion did not ascend, they descended. Nostramo, his broken world, resumed its spiral into depravity. In time, the Legion no longer seeded with the strongest of its kind, but dredged from the filthiest gutters of men, shaped not for duty, but for blood. Some insist that there was rot, some insist this is where the rot began. But that claim turns a blind eye to the truth that their primarch who fled corruption, who stoked the fire, who fed the corruption, who stoked the fire. Curze led them into darkness, believing terror was a mercy, and horror was a price of peace. And when his sons grew monstrous, it was because he made them so. There were times perhaps when atrocities was necessary, but the skinless corpses, the hanged governors, and the ruined hives, these were not acts of war, but of a legion unmoored from all restraint, slaughtering for the sheer taste of it. The night hunter's grip faltered, and the darkness within the suns surged forward. His visions became unbearable, his mind consumed by the certainty of doom. He saw the Imperium rotting from within, saw his own death embracing the collapse. The spiral deepened. From the earliest years of the Great Crusade, the Night Lords were unleashed upon the worst of the galaxy, could offer rebels, tyrants, and heretics. But their justice was so absolute, so cruel, that even trivial defense could invite extinction. Defiance could offer extinction. Whole planets were burned for infractions little greater than pride. Fear brought compliance, but the cost was soul deep. The Imperium's enemies fell silent, not from conviction, but for the knowledge that defiance brought the Night Lords. And yet, even as their barbarity escalated, the Emperor's response was silent. He saw Curze's unraveling, and he knew the massacres and the madness, but no hand stayed their fury, no judgment fell upon them. Why, none could say. Perhaps there was hope, perhaps there was fear, but the consequences are carved into history with blood. The Night Lords never changed. They merely became more themselves. Of all the legions, they were the most feared, the most damned. They had been born in shadow, and to shadow they returned monsters, not by accident, but by design. What hope was there for sons raised by a father who saw only horror in the future, who chose to meet it head on? Yeah. So this is another little information campaign. Man, you skid a couple planets' governors after time, people just don't rebel anymore. The Emperor didn't seem to want to put a stop to it either, which is kind of interesting because it really makes you wonder what happened to the 2nd and the 11th Unknown Legions. Like, if this kind of stuff was allowed, what happened there? But that's a story for another time.
What did you have to do to get in that much trouble?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing, because the Emperor has what Lehman Ross as the enforcer guy. I'm guessing, when that can't work, he sends in the Night Haunter.
That's the most interesting part is, why he stayed his hand here and just was like, I'm going to let this happen.
Yeah, because, even, we haven't gotten to Logar's story yet, but, there's some chastisement there that we won't get too much into. So it's not like he's above chastising his children or his creations or whatever,
spoilery with the Lorgar stuff, but the reasoning of his discipline is a little different here. Curze is enacting a form of justice, and he is completing his tasks. This guy's he's a fucking go-getter.
Checking those boxes.
He's going above and beyond. Yeah, he's
middle management.
You say jump, and he's like, how high? Konrad, I really need you to take that city and just make an example. Bring some justice. And then he comes back, and he's brought severed heads of all of the governing forces, and he's like, I did it. I got it. He's like, okay, well, yep, that's good. So he's like a dog that brings you a little prize. And I'm like, oh, that's a headless rabbit. Thank you. Okay.
That's so horrific. Thank you.
I'm guessing the Emperor's just a closet sadist. It's yeah, I get this. I kind of like this. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it's closet, but
full on sadist.
All right, Logan, you got another one here, buddy.
Funny. I do. Hang on. I told the guys, audio listeners, because I just muted to sniffle before we started. I've been sick, so I've been taking a lot of stuff from my nose, and I had some, and I'm like, oh, I can't read this like that, but here we go.
Not huffing warp dust over there.
Yep, not huffing warp dust. Can't do it that way. My sons, the galaxy is burning. We all bear witness to a final truth. Our way is not the way of the Imperium. You have never stood in the Emperor's light, never worn the Imperial eagle, and you never will. You shall stand in midnight clad, your claws forever red with the lifeblood of my father's failed empire, warring through the centuries as the talons of a murdered god. Rise, my sons, and take your wrath across the stars. In my name, in my memory, rise, my night lords.
Good. Cut. Check the gate. Awesome. Print that. Boom. Moving on. That was fantastic.
Moving on.
Yeah, I'm going to use this to start my voice acting career.
I think you could. You gotta get typecast, but fuck, man, that's a type.
Send it in.
Yeah, it'll pay. It'll pay.
It'll pay.
Just not when I'm sick, it won't. That was rough. All right. All right. Primarch Konrad Curze, who I was calling Cruz forever because I'm dyslexic and no one corrected me till I got on this podcast. At the final gathering of the 8th Legion, the Night Lords are the embodiment of terror, using fear as their weapon to break their enemies long before the first blade is drawn. Their reputation is one of unrelenting brutality, where death is not merely a consequence, but a harbinger of their arrival. Known for their savage warfare, they revel in the suffering and despair of those they conquer, leaving shattered remnants of humanity in their wake. Their methods are not subtle. They are unashamedly cruel, reveling in the cursing weight of overwhelming force. Once there was a time when these tactics had a purpose. Before the heresy, the Night Lords sought to instill an iron rule across the galaxy, showing no mercy to those who defied the Emperor's will. Their methods were brutal, yes, but they were meant to ensure obedience through fear, to demonstrate the brutality of resistance. Even then, their cruelty was extreme, and many would call their actions monstrous. But they were not mere savages. They were soldiers, tempered in fire, working towards a twisted vision of order. But in time, their violence became their identity. Their victories forged not in the glory of conquest, but in the terror they spread. Those who resisted the Imperium were not simply defeated, they were obliterated. Their civilizations reduced to rubble, and their people left out to rot in the wake of the Night Lord's fury. What began as means to ensure compliance morphed into an all-consuming obsession. Now, there are only shadows and screams where once there was purpose, forever cursed to live by fear, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty hardcore.
It's pretty fucking hardcore.
I mean, it really, like, it's, you know, we're not... I say we as the podcast. We're joking earlier. It's a Nickelodeon villain. Haha, this is dark tragic. Then it's like, oh, he's killing a lot of people. Oh, they're killing a lot of people. Ooh, they like killing a lot of people. Ooh, it's all they do. Ooh, it's kind of like I don't know. That last part kind of reminded me about you know, I don't know. What are we on? 4 nerds now. 4 nerding. I'm not going to spoil it, but this latest season of Invincible has a character whose name is Conquest, and he sounds a lot like this, where that's just his thing. He just goes and destroys and spreads fear. That's all he, like, nobody likes him. Nobody talks to him. They're just like, hey, go deal with that planet. He's like, oh, okay. And he's got a cool line where he's like, I'm suffering. He's suffering from his own success because that's all he does. But it's like he wants more, but he can't because he's just so good at it.
It's major
kind
pain.
of what these guys remind me of.
Killing is my business, and business is good.
Killing in my business is good.
Yeah. Very cool.
We got some good comments. Conquest admits it's lonely only being a tool, says Hoodie. Hottie.
I was trying not to say that.
And
then that's part of his character arc. We're trying to hide that.
Oh shit! Fucking spoilers.
I'm not going to spoil it. Here's some vague things about the character. Whoop. Okay, well, there's some character development. That's fine.
Nice. The other one that you said there was, are the Night Lords chaos because they don't like the Imperium, because they worship the gods? They seem more renegade.
Yeah. So like that was the one thing. Like I was never allowed to play chaos growing up because Christian household, which really means like, why are you playing 40k? But you know what? I'm like, I can't delve that far in. But Night Lords are like on the edge. Like they just like killing people. They're not about like delving into like demons and stuff.
That's so funny that this is like the easier step to sell a Christian parent. I love that. It's just a little murder and flaying, Mom. It's not demons. I've had that same conversation with my parents.
That is very interesting because we on the hobby hang we talked about your origin story, Mark, and how like, you know, little what'd you say, like soft and supple Marky just going about his days and then seeing this grim dark shit. And yeah, that is interesting because I would think, and this is not to single any listeners out whatsoever, but I think we all have pretty similar upbringings. You know, and because let's fucking face it, we're just a bunch of stereotypical white male American. Well, not Americans. No, we have Sam. But
wow.
He's okay.
Not American either.
Expats.
You're so American brained. He's just like, oh yeah, four white guys. Clearly, we're all American.
Well,
clearly, we're all American.
We're basically, yeah.
Ignorant.
We're all the fucking same.
We're all the same.
We're a bunch of nerds.
You know, if America said, Mark, here's a citizenship, I wouldn't say no.
We're a bunch of
you got me. I'd say thank you, Trump.
I'm talking about the four of us, and I got two of you wrong. So,
audio listeners,
anyway, I'm just
you're
saying,
all included in
it's
this
very interesting. That, like we all had somewhat of the same upbringing, but I love that Sam's parents are like, okay, now you can play this game, but you're not going to be playing the bad guys. I see those spiky bits. You are not playing that.
We had like
now.
We had like full on things. Like it was me and my older brother that played, and like we'd go to a GW, right? And one of our job would be to run over to the Damon section and cover it up so Mom just walks past and you're like, nope, nothing to see here. No.
That's fucking classic. Holy shit.
My parents would just go, are they biblical demons? I go, no. They go, okay, whatever. Like that was the end of the line. Like, is it biblical or is it made up? Made up, do whatever.
My parents went the full-on pocket demon route with Pokemon. They're like, no, you can't have pocket demons.
Yeah. Oh, I've got another story with this. So I got given like the full original Pokemon marble set as a kid for my 5th birthday. This still scars me to this day. And my mum that night scraped all the Pokemon off because they're pocket demons.
Just play with
That's
this.
So crazy.
Do you know how much they're worth now as well? Like, it's scary seeing how much those marbles are worth. Yeah.
Where's the Night Hunter when you need him?
Konrad!
My mom scraped off my marbles. I need a Nickelodeon villain to come take care of my mom because she scraped off my marbles.
Suddenly, this makes a whole lot of sense, I guess.
We're unhinged. I love it. Yeah, you know, I am a little surprised that I mean, my parents were divorced, but my dad would have been like, "You're playing the game? That's cool." I think my mom, who like threw out most of my CDs in my collection because it had the little parental advisory sticker, like any of those were just like fucking gone.
Oh yeah.
But she like totally let me play 40K, but I think that was because I was in high school at that point, and at that point she knew that like I was the good kid out of my group. Like I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't drinking, like I didn't really do my homework, but like I was a good kid. So it's like, all right, look, you can play your little Warhammers, as she used to call them.
What?
Grant. Yeah, it was my young life leader. So like I was going to church.
Nice.
Like
I was just, that's why your mom didn't care because the church leader was showing it to you.
Look, son, you got one of two options presented before you: Jesus Christ or 40K.
Nah, both, baby.
You can only choose one.
Yeah.
Oh, both. Okay, all right. Well,
Always
Grant
both.
did a great job. Shout out to Grant, I suppose. I went just straight 40K. I didn't have, a guiding hand.
But I will say,
those two.
damn, if I saw Night Lords back then, that's what I would have picked. If I saw Night Lord minis when I was 15, that's the fucking shit that I'd be into now. Because I want to build this army now. I want to paint Curze. Like when you showed me your Curze model, I was like, son of a bitch. Like my buddy Tyler, who's friends with Logan and I, Tyler plays like Night Lords and they look incredible. That looks amazing. That looks so cool. Yes. Like skin cape.
Skin cape.
Yeah.
Skin cape.
It's awesome.
I think, what is it?
Just random thought popped into my head because you normally only ever see Night Lords except for Curze with their helmets on. I bet those capes are stinky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it makes sense. That's why they all wear their helmets, because they don't want to breathe the stench of their own garbage. They're just like, yeah, I'm just going to wear this. But Curze, because he grew up in it and literally was in the gutter with the blood, he's like, whatever, I don't care how this smells.
Yeah. He likes it.
Let's go.
Walking into a house where the people own like 3 cats and you're not the owner, you notice that right away. But if you're the owner, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I had friends who had multiple cats, and they're like, because cats make my eyes itch after a while, and they're like, you can't smell them, it's not that bad. And I went to their house, I'm like, oh yeah, I just looked at my friend, I went,
one cat.
We just went about our visit.
I don't know. All right. Fuck that. That is
snakes.
Hell, and I will never go into a house like that. Wait, do you have 22 snakes?
Really?
I used to have 22 snakes. Yeah.
What are you at now?
Yeah.
I'm at 4.
Oh.
4 snakes.
4D.
1 monitor lizard. 2 skinks. 2 meerkats. Dart frogs. Tortoises.
It's still like it's not a zoo. What do you call it when it's like for that kind of creature?
Is it like a menagerie?
Yeah,
a
maybe.
Terrarium?
A terrarium, sure, maybe.
Terrarium, yeah, that's that thing.
Terrarium.
Well, I think you should rent out your house and like sell tickets and like give people a show,
I think we need to bring Cord over there with the promise that he can have more teeth.
Yeah, more
I'm
teeth.
ophidiophobic. I'm ophidiophobic. I have phobia snakes. Fuck that. Yeah, you didn't know this?
Really?
That's so nice, though.
No, so I need to get my Emperor's Children looking more snaky, is what I just heard.
Kasner, you know Kasner, right? Yeah. So he has a cute little snake. I'm gonna say cute in air quotes. Cute little snake in the corner of like his living room area. He invited me over for dinner one night. We hung out and we watched Lord of the Rings and all that. I could not walk to that part of the house. I could not. It took like all of me to like look at this thing.
Man, was like someone in your family bit by a snake or something and got killed?
I had like one experience, weird. And it was like I was in like elementary school, and my neighbor friend had a birthday party, and they brought like the reptile guy as the entertainment. Which, first off, that's a fucking terrible idea. When you're that's fine. That if you do your thing, but like, where are this guy's credentials? I don't want you to hire the reptile guy. I'm 7 and I'm terrified of things. And I'm like, okay, all right. But we had to stand there in a fucking line. And then you're like, all right, we're all going to hold this python. And I'm like, wait, what? So we're all just standing there like 7-year-olds. And they put this long fucking python in our hands and we're just holding it. And I'm like, I don't like this. And then he had an iguana and we didn't know where it was. We kind of like lost track of it. I was like, this thing's fucking hunting me. This is the predator. And then we looked around and I couldn't see the fucking snake because it was in the long grass. And I think from then on, I was like, fuck this, I'm done.
The size of snake.
Okay.
I think that you like snakes.
I have goosebumps right now talking.
Man, no, I think we're learning a lot about Court. We know his dislikes and he likes teeth. We put that in the column. Dislike snakes.
What about snake teeth?
Maybe I used to have snake vertebrae because somebody gave me a necklace, and I think I gave those away.
Oh, yeah, those are cool.
But then you found out they weren't teeth. Yeah. See you.
We'll
Wrong kind of
save
road
this
today.
portion because
but-
like we've gone way unhinged, but we'll save this for because I not to spoil future bonus episodes with yours truly, but I think we're gonna do like a get to know your hosts episode kind of thing. So maybe we'll talk about this a little bit because I
we
want to
got a
know all of
cool
your
title
fears
for it,
too.
at least.
So, anyways,
My fears.
fuck. Now I don't feel
Did it?
safe. Like I feel
Small
like
old
I should be
people,
above
probably.
the like on a couch or something. Like I'm just sitting here like an idiot with my feet on the ground.
You-
That's what I'm
There could be
saying.
snakes
Ugh.
around your feet right now as we speak.
You know they can climb basically vertically up walls, right?
Yeah. In
I
that
like
works in
spiders. I
spiders
own
usually.
spiders. I love spiders.
Yeah.
But nope.
I had a tarantula.
You ever get a snake tickle before where you're pooping on the toilet and you get a little
What the
tickle?
fuck am I supposed to do now, Mark? How am I supposed to poop in safety? Does this happen in Panama?
But
What?
it happens
For this,
here.
yeah, I know this. This is an occurrence that happens. Konrad Curze is out there putting snakes in people's toilets, trying to freak them out.
Yeah, this is how he does it.
Yeah,
It's
man.
not the skin. The skin's just a
Is
facade.
this
He'll
how I
use
started
whatever he
crying on
has
this
to.
episode
Yeah.
just because of this, not because of the emotional trauma of reading about the Horus Heresy? Oh my
All
god!
right, everyone leave poor Cord alone. Give
Uh,
the man some teeth and fucking.
If it makes you feel better, Court, it's mostly in Tucson,
I don't
and it's a
care,
non-venomous
venomous or not.
snake that does it.
Just a kiss.
But all right, I'm not going to Tucson.
Yeah, he just
Okay, well, when you do that, it makes me feel a little bit better.
I think we forget
we
about
need-
the
we do
meerkats
need
at
some
the end of
meerkat
the
time
episode.
at
that's
the
what they
end.
do. They're just
And I will say, just as because
Okay.
we're at a stopping point here. I'm going to say this, and then we're just going to not address it at all because I don't want discussions or theories. But we've gone past the 4 mark that I said in the beginning of this episode. We've gone past it.
I was gonna say that.
I'm not saying it. Nope,
Sometimes
we've
I
gone
mention
past it.
teeth.
Okay,
Ah,
all right. Here we go.
ah.
The rot within. All right, so this is going to be a Night Lord's multi-channel Vox broadcast. So I'm going to treat this as if it's Curze's voice here. We received an offer, your offer of surrender, and reject it. We did not come to receive your supplication, but to enact judgment. The time to surrender has long passed. The verdict is writ by your own hands. Now, it is time to die. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
We
yeah,
got there. We
yeah.
got
That sounded like the why are we still here? Just to suffer clip
I
that
don't
goes
know what
around
that
all the
is,
time.
but
That
you'll have to
sounded
send it to
exactly
me.
like that.
Don't throw your hands up like you don't. Oh,
no, dear,
jeez.
but-
All right.
Don't worry, I got that double nerd. Don't you worry.
Thank
I
you.
think it was
Thank you.
solid snake. Snake.
I was trying to avoid saying snake because I didn't want to trigger him. I was
Ironically,
being
one of my
compassionate
favorite film
friend, and you guys are
characters is
rude.
Snake Plissken too. So, call me Snake. I am a complicated man.
You're a complicated
Yeah.
man. Very
I know.
complicated man.
All right, here we go.
Inconsistency.
As war ground down the warriors of the 8th Legion, replacements were drawn from Nostromo's decaying heart. These new neophytes, once shadows lurking in the planet's forgotten alleys, were criminals carved from cruelty. The last wretched fruit of a world sliding back into darkness after its primarch's departure. The Legion, once merely terrifying, grew malignant. The Nostraman recruits brought no honor, only venom, saturating the Night Lords with a malignancy that appalled even their gene sire's brothers. Curze felt his grip weakening, his authority eroding as savagery replaced discipline. His prophetic torment worsened visions of betrayal and slaughter swelled in number and clarity, like blood welling in a deep wound. He foresaw his own death, drawn by the hand of his father, and watched his sons clash with their brothers in the long twilight of the Imperium. In desperation, he sought counsel, but the other primarchs, distant and distrusting, recoiled from the bleak truths he offered. What could could he hope for but scorn? After the grim conquest of the Sharat system, Curze broke. Stricken by one of his tortured seizures, he was aided by Fulgrim, the only brother who had once shown him kindness. In his trembling confession, Curze unburdened himself, foretelling Nostramo's doom, the Emperor's wrath, and the oncoming civil war that would devour them all. Fulgrim, disturbed, turned to Dorn, but Dorn, immovable and inflexible, saw only treachery in Curze's warnings. The confrontation was sudden. When it ended, Dorn lay torn and bloodied on cold steel. Looming over him, cradling his head in trembling hands, was the night haunter, ashen, sobbing, broken. There was no defense, no justification, only silence and the weight of shame. Curze was confined, a prisoner in his own fleet, while the other primarchs gathered behind closed doors to speak of punishment and judgment. But when the council rose, the prison was silent. The huskarls of the imperial fists lay mutilated guards turned corpses, red ruin marking where oaths had failed. The night haunter was gone. By the time pursuit was mustered, it was far too late. Curze vanished, swallowed by the warp, his sons close behind, fleeing justice they no longer feared. There's our sadness right there, man. There it is. That's when we get a lot of the bittersweet, sad moment. And I feel like this is the sympathetic part. Like if you're not a Night Lords fan based on what Sam was reading earlier, like check yourself. If you don't sympathize a little bit here with Curze, like I just don't know, man.
Did your dad want to kill you?
No.
There, Cord?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Good to know.
Can't say that he did.
Yeah, I'm just like, what?
No, but I'm just
relating to this guy that your dad sent his brothers after you to kill you, and you had to fight off your brothers, and you escaped into the night.
It's like
and joined
he
some
can't help it. He
traveling
can't
group.
help, and he tried. He even reached out to his brothers, his Primarch brothers, was like, "Look, this is what I'm seeing," and they fucking ostracized him. They treated him like he was not one of them.
Yeah. Well, he should have taken off the skin cape before that meeting.
That is
True.
Yeah.
But hey, that's
maybe he gets a dry clean. We don't know.
We don't know. No, but yeah, you're right. Like, man, it would suck to be him right from the get-go. You're haunted by visions. Like, we've all had a bad night's sleep, and just imagine your whole life of that. And all night, every time you go to sleep, now you start fearing going to sleep yourself because you're not sure what visions and horrors are going to,
or even who you see and how they trigger things. Like it talked about having one of his seizures and like these visions gripping him. And so this could be upon seeing somebody that fulfills one of those visions, and just it happens, boom, right away. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's interesting too. Like a lot of people make fun of him for being weak, but he's just 1v1 Dawn, and pretty much like he probably could have killed him if he wanted to. Yeah,
and he also goes toe-to-toe with Lionel Johnson later too. I only say that because we did the Lionel Johnson episode, and they battle.
And Mr. Salamander. Why did we do that one yet?
No, okay, let's see that. Oh yeah. Maybe we mentioned it briefly during the second Imperium or whatever it's called. Forget. Imperium Secundus.
I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay. My turn to do Konrad voice. I don't think I can. At times, in raptures of pain, I saw what was to occur laid out before me. In these waking dreams, I took countless lives with my bare hands, heads taking as trophies. I died again and again at the hands of my father. My sons butchered and maimed their brothers. My name was to become synonymous with dread. But most vividly and with most frequency, I saw my world pierced by a lance of purest light, splitting it, shattering it into dust. And that was Konrad Curze revelations revealed from his personal journeys or journals. The Dark.
Wait. So just to interject, he's got
Yeah.
personal journals, and this is where I lose a little respect for him. Like he has no. Like I love journaling's great. I have fucking 5 journals behind this Lord of the Rings poster right now. But he calls them the Dark. Like and like
It's how he
come on,
feels.
One and two so
like
far.
okay.
And people say Raven
I
Guard
know
is the
this
evil
is
legion.
a little bit like
Just saying.
I'm gonna call this
Just
one the
saying.
Dark, and then like he runs out of room in the first one, so he's just like, this one's the Dark Volume 2. Okay. All right.
The Dark returns.
Yeah.
You just don't understand, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think that was the last quote we had from Curze. So the official ranking, I think, is clear. Logan, number 1. Man, Core, it was a close second, honestly.
Okay.
I'll let you read
Sounds
me
good.
to sleep, though, at night, if you want.
Well, Logan reads me
Don't
to
lie to
sleep,
him. It's
so-
not close.
And then Sam, I think... Sam, I think you just lose because you're a New Zealander, and I think
Yeah.
I didn't win by merit. I didn't beat you out by merit. Just sheer
Conrad
fact
ain't
that
no
I'm not a
Kiwi.
New Zealander.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he
Yeah, he
left
doesn't
New
have-
Zealand. He knows. He probably hates it just as much as I hate Canada.
Yeah, I don't have an epiphany for sheep. That's the problem. I
Yeah, that will do it. Not a lot to
Sheep
relate
and
with
rugby.
the other people. Yes.
Okay, I'll get into Nostramo's death. In 984 M30 marked the final horrific collapse of the Night Lord's honor, a tragic culmination of events that forever sealed their fate. Though much is made of the drop site massacre as the first true conflict between the Emperor's primarchs, this is not entirely accurate. Long before Estevan, long before the scouring of Prospero, a dark incident unfolded, one in which a primarch turned upon his brother and inflicted grievous harm. The name of Konrad Curze, the Night Haunter, lies at the center of this incident. Hidden in the Imperial archives away from prying eyes of historians, those who know the depth of Curze's madness will find a little surprise in this revelation. This tragedy began just after the brutal Chiraut compliance campaign, a blood-soaked conflict where the Emperor's children, the Imperial Fists, and the Night Lords were dispatched to subjugate a stubborn holdout of humanity. All 3 primarchs were present, an unsettling rarity in those days of a relentless war. The discord between Rogel Dawn and Konrad Curze was palpable. The former rigid discipline clashing violently with the latter's savage brutality. By the end of the campaign, Curze's merciless methods had brought this strained alliance to a breaking point. The Night Lords had long been scorned by other legions for their violent ways, and Curze was no stranger to the haunted visions of doom that plagued his tormented mind. He saw only ruin, the galaxy shattered, his sons reduced to soulless killers with no higher purpose. His soul, once a flicker of something nobler, had long since been consumed by despair and the relentless whisper of an inevitable betrayal. When news reached him that Nostramo, his home world, had fallen back into chaos, Curze attempted to confide in his brothers. But they were strangers to him, distant and indifferent to his torment. Isolated in his grief, Curze could not share their joy of camaraderie. Instead, he was assailed by convulsions of prophetic visions, dark glimpses of his death, of endless wars against his own kin, battles without meaning. He spoke of none of this, only hinting at this suffocating darkness within him. This sense of isolation morphed into deep paranoia, and the rift between Curze and his fellow primarchs only widened. After the campaign's bloody conclusion, Curze turned to his mentor Filgrim, hoping for solace, but the Emperor's children's primarch shock only drove him to further desperation. He spoke of terrible visions, of the fate that awaited them all, and soon the already fractured relationship between Curze and Dawn shattered. What followed was a confrontation so violent that Dawn was left severely wounded, while Curze's own bodyguards were slaughtered to a man. The witness swore silence, but the damage had been done. Curze was placed under guard, his fate to be decided by his brothers. Yet, in a final act of defiance, the Night Haunter broke free, leaving only corpses in his wake. Blood had been spilled, a rift torn in the fragile semblance of unity between the legions. Once free, Curze made his way to Nostramo, the world he had once sought to protect. There, he fulfilled a vision of destruction. With a single grim command, the Night Lords unleashed their fury, bombarding their homeworld until its very core collapsed. Imperial pursuit ships arrived too late to witness the annihilation, their crews only able to watch as the Night Lords' ships unleashed their deadly payload into the scar left by Curze's earlier arrival. Nostramo's death was swift and final, the planet torn asunder by the very forces that once protected it. In that moment, the Night Lords lost their final tether to any sense of restraint. Some claim Curze's destruction of his world was an act of defiance, a statement against his brothers who had long disapproved of his methods. But if this was more than that, it was a death knell of a soul already beyond salvation. After Nostramo's fall, the accounts of Curze's actions diverged. One version holds that he and the Night Lords returned to Terra, where the Emperor reprimanded them for their brutality, the final straw between the exterminatus of Nostramo. Curze's justification was simple. His world had fallen back into corruption, and he had only acted as the Imperium had always demanded, enforcing order through terror. He accused the Emperor of hypocrisy, condemning him for the very actions that had once been praised in the name of the Great Crusade. Another version tells a different tale, one where Curze and his legion vanished into the dark corners of the galaxy, never to return to Terra. The rebellion went unnoticed by the wider Imperium, and Curze continued his bloody crusade, slipping into the dark places beyond the known stars, where the Emperor's name was little more than a fading echo. There were no fleets sent to pursue him, no condemnation from the Council. Instead, the Imperium ignored him, cutting off supplies to the Night Lords, effectively exiling them from the Great Crusade's vanguard. By the dawn of the 31st millennium, the Court of Terra deemed his punishment enough. The Night Haunter was recalled, a grim prelude to the betrayal that would soon unfold on Estevan. Yet, even in the dark moment, it was clear Konrad's fall was not a tragic fluke, but the inevitable consequence of a shattered mind, a tortured soul, and the brutal choices forced upon him by the galaxy that demanded nothing less than madness.
Yeah, that's it seems so random, from the outside view, this destruction of his homeworld. But man, it's that nail in that coffin. I love that one line where it's like, yeah, okay. So he tries to tell his brothers and they say, "You're a fool." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm done with you guys then. Let's fulfill these prophecies. Let's make it happen then. We're doing this." Yeah. And then he goes and blows up his homeworld to really because he's seen this happen before. He's played this out, and he knew he was going to do it. Play it through. This is one weird thing I've always kind of not fully liked about him is if you see the future and still fall into it, predetermination, that whole thing. Can you ever break free of your path, or are you just doomed to go down it? Even if you see your path, it gets a little too much sometimes.
I think it missed a little bit in the explanation. So, I think it was half of the chapter decided, oh, we've had enough of Konrad. We're going to do our own thing. And that's where my Demon Prince guy comes in, the Pale Count. And he made some uprising with the other high, noble born and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Conrad's like, okay, no, that's it. I'm going back. I'm going to teach you a lesson, pretty much. And that's where you just blew it all up.
Oh, sweet. I'm glad you knew that. That's a cool little detail. Yeah, so there's a little hint of rebellion in him. Or in the Legion.
Yeah, in the Legion, yeah.
And he hates crime, so yeah, that's a no-no.
It's his trigger word.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think, we'll leave the narrative part of this story for now. He's fully kind of given himself to chaos even before the other ones have. And not necessarily chaos in the typical sense. Earlier today we were talking about, or earlier in the chat, people were talking about so Night Lords are renegades, and man, Night Lords fall perfectly into the Chaos Unbound idea, where it's like, yeah, they're using the warp. They're not summoning demons necessarily and like praising gods, but they're definitely using the warp's power to enhance their own abilities or to create fog and fear or, just kind of stuff like that.
I never saw them as a chaos faction that really goes for one chaos god. I would,
or even for Undivided, where it's like
they're
many
really
chaos
just kind
gods,
of their own thing, and I think that makes it cooler. I'm sure Logan would say something like, "Oh, that just makes them this snowflake flower unique thing that's just emo in ways that you can't comprehend." And he might be right. He might be right in some ways, but I think it's. I mean, fuck. Korn is probably applauding this guy, though. I would say Korn is probably like, yeah. Oh, yeah. That shit, that's crazy. But in some ways, he's probably not, too. He's like, that's not how you do that. That's not honorable. That's not upfront and, like, in your face. That's sneaky bullshit. That's Zinch shit. That's Zinch fuckery of, like, sneaking around in the dark.
Yeah.
And I bet Slaanesh is kind of like, what? Wait, flesh capes? Did someone say flesh capes?
Wait, you're not fucking the flesh cape, and what good is it?
Oh, what do we got here? Oh, that's not the way I would do it. There's a little bit of like from each of them, and I don't know. I don't think Nurgle gives a fuck.
Yeah.
You want to beat these guys at all? Really?
Oh, I was gonna say, I think Nurgle does because their souls are rotting.
Okay. Yeah.
And a big part of Nurgle that people forget about is rebirth. Granted, it's usually a twisted rebirth. But he forced Nostramo to be reborn into a peaceful world.
That's a metaphorical
violence.
So that's not like life itself, right?
Well, does Korn care from which the blood flows? Does Nurgle care from where the rebirth comes?
Listen to this guy over here.
Oh, there you go, Jack.
I didn't think he was a big Konrad Curze fan.
Yeah,
Jax, and I just a little sidebar. I know we need to get a game of Trench Crusade in. Like, I'm so my time is like crazy, just very minimal. So we'll figure it out. But like, it might not happen this week, my friend.
See,
he does not care from which the skin is flayed.
Just agrees to me.
Oh my god.
The one before that's good as well. It's like it mentioned that the Chaos Gods couldn't choose Curze because he was too insane.
Well, okay, so maybe does he maybe fall into the malice kind of god concept or not quite? Because that's more just like
but he has a purpose for doing it as well, I guess, which is
very clear purpose. Like there's a very clear moral lines he has. They're not good. They're not good lines, but like he does have his own values and stuff for sure. So definitely not Malal now that we're saying it.
I think the other interesting point that was brought up is he tried to tell Fulgrim about everything. Fulgrim was like, nah, none of that happens. And then Fulgrim goes to get told again about things that are going to happen. And Fulgrim's like, no, there's no way that's going to happen. Like, how many times do you have to tell Fulgrim something's going to happen before he goes, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about his appearance real quick here. Before the Emperor gaze fell upon Konrad Curze, he was a figure wrought from the darkness of Nostramo itself. His appearance was a reflection of grim and violent nature, a towering figure of sinuous strength and shadow. His skin pale as death and marked with faint traces of scars. bore telltale signs of his homeworld's harsh, sunless nights. His eyes, unsettling deep, set and pale, gleamed with unnatural intensity, as if the horrors of the universe were laid bare before them. Long dark hair cascaded like a blackened river down his back, unkempt, reflecting his tormented mind. He dressed simply, in somber robes of his people, worn with the weight of 1,000 burdens, those of the world that had shaped him into a creature of relentless vengeance, forever at odds with the light of the Emperor's dream. After the Emperor's intervention, Curze's appearance became a ghastly mockery of his former self, his very being contorted by the weight of his visions and unrelenting torment of his fractured mind. Unarmored, he stood as a broken vessel, his once imposing figure now haunched, with his body gaunt as if he'd been starved by unholy revelations. His eyes became darker, almost black, their gleam now one with madness, reflecting his twisted premonitions that plagued his every thought. His once long, untamed hair was now streaked with silver, a sign of years spent burdened by the horrors of his visions. His face, once a striking portrait of a warlord, now appeared hollow, as if drained by the very essence of despair, and the lines of age and suffering etched deeply into his features. When Curze donned his armor, he became an unstoppable force of destruction, a living nightmare clad in ceramite and warplate. His armor, marked with jagged lines of the Legion's insignia, seemed more a reflection of his mind than his body, twisted and contorted into sharp, brutal shapes with edges that could cleave through anything in their path. His once pale face was now obscured with a nightmarish helmet, a grim visage of a monster with sharp angles and a mouthguard resembling jagged grin, frozen in an eternal snarl of fury. The light of the Emperor's grace no longer touched him, his armor instead a symbol of terror he had become. It was the armor that encapsulated his fall from grace, a gleaming prison of his own making, bearing the weight of a legion. That was both his weapon and his curse. Whew. Yay. Fun guy for sure. Yeah, you can tell a lot about a person just by the way they look. How's your hair? Are you clean kempt or
it's interesting to read that like he was hunched and like just like gaunt and really just
gaunt.
It's sad, man. And like his hair, partially going gray / white a little bit, just which makes sense, like that stress, like that kind of mental anguish. He was probably a very tough Primarch to look at. Like you look at Dorn. Dorn is just like the most chiseled, handsome, dude that you could like aspire to be. You're like that guy. Yeah.
He's a man's man.
Look
for sure.
At Konrad, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying. This is horrific.
Yeah, we hear that, like, you meet Horus and the humans are speechless and they fall to their knees. Like, very opposite reaction.
And going back to what we said earlier, picture this description is what's killing a bunch of people in the middle of the night.
Ooh.
And you're hearing about that. Yeah, now we've got a better description. That is what's killing people in the middle of the night. And you're like, I don't need to steal.
And he can't help it, man. He can't help the way he looks, and he's tried to reach out to his brothers, and they don't want to talk to him. It's just sad.
I've been watching so much Dexter that when you said he can't help it, I'm like, he couldn't help it. He had to kill people. Oh, how he looks. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Oh, here we go, killing again. That's that meme.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Well, just a quick side note, I suppose. If anyone's suffering depression, come reach out. Like, we make jokes about 100%. This shit, but like, it's a serious thing. Reach out to me, man. I know lots of people have said to me before, like, you brought me out of a dark time. It's sad, man. That's the sad part. He reached out to his brothers who should have been there for him, and they weren't. They left him. We wouldn't let our battle brothers down like that.
100%.
So reach out if you need a hand with anything. Up next, we got his personality.
Logan.
Poor segue, but
yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know how you want to transition this, but going into his personality for this first paragraph, if you have two devices, go ahead and pull up the Dark Knight main theme by Hans Zimmer.
That's my old boss.
It kind of fits with what I'm about to read.
We'll save that for the
worked for
podcast where you
Hans
get to know
Zimmer?
people. I did.
Lore of the Lore Masters.
He collects teeth. He worked for Hans Zimmer, and he's afraid of snakes. Like this guy.
Yeah.
And he's 6'11". Might as well be.
Oh,
right.
Cool.
Before his encounter with the Emperor, Konrad Curze's personality was defined by an unrelenting obsession with justice, hence why I listen to Batman music now, but one twisted and warped by the harsh realities of Nostramo. He was a man driven by a need to see the truth of the galaxy, but that truth was often a brutal, painful vision of what humanity truly was. He was fierce and unyielding, believing that only through terror, violence, and unrelenting punishment could the galaxy be brought into line. He was a man without mercy, yet deeply haunted by his own actions, constantly torn between his desire for justice and the terrifying prophetic visions of the galaxy's dark future. He saw the world as something doomed, a place in desperate need of a brutal reckoning. And he was the one who could bring it about, whether the Emperor willed it or not. After the Emperor's intervention, Curze became a broken shadow of the man he once was. Stripped of his armor and left to wrestle with his inner demons, his personality deteriorated into something far more tragic. He became increasingly withdrawn, consumed by his own madness, and haunted by the visions of the inevitable betrayal and destruction that awaited him and his legion. His mind fractured, plagued by a deep depression and a profound sense of isolation. He no longer sought the approval of others, nor did he care for the opinions of his fellow primarchs. He had become a tortured soul, perpetually drowning in an ocean of despair. His dark humor, once a weapon in his arsenal, had turned into a grim form of self-loathing. His words are often laced with bitterness and regret. Where once there was clarity in his mission, now there was only darkness and fear that nothing could ever be set right again. Clad in his battle armor once more, Curze's personality had become a terrifying reflection of his inner turmoil. He was no longer the driven warrior seeking justice, but a force of nature imbued with a terrifying sense of inevitability. His need for vengeance and punishment became more pronounced, yet it was now coupled with a grim resignation. He no longer cared about winning favor or securing victory. His actions were fueled by the hatred of the universe and an acceptance of the cruelty he had become. The visions that once tormented him now guided him, pushing him ever forward into the darkness, as if he were compelled to fulfill some cosmic prophecy of ruin. He had become a destroyer, not out of passion, but out of a cold, inevitable necessity, understanding that his existence was a tragedy meant to unfold in blood and suffering.
Not a lot of happiness there.
Yeah.
No. I don't know. I know we've talked about depression, which is a real thing, and isolation and stuff. And this is written very much to make you feel some sympathy for this character. But he's also a psychotic murderer.
Oh shit, I forgot that he was flaying people.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. Keeping the man
this
honest.
is super tragic. He was literally flaying people because he didn't like how they were treating other people. Like it's
man.
And people like Dexter, the serial killer. Why can't you like Cruz? I'm like, it's a little different. That's not a 1-to-1 comparison. He just like, oh yeah, I want to make justice my way. I'm going to kill all these people. Not just kill, horrifically kill, torture, make them suffer to prove a point. But he was
and even like,
so we should feel bad.
Yeah, I do for a second, and then snapped right out of it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, for a second, it's right there. You're like, aw, and then wait a minute.
I forgot about the blade. I don't know if I like this concept, but I'll throw it out there. When I was writing and reading, I kind of was coming a lot across like the difference of Konrad in and out of his armor, and just like how he kind of almost when he puts on the armor, he almost becomes the Night Haunter. And if it's almost like a split personality, or if it's not really quite that. Any thoughts on that?
There's like in his book again, it's like not like a split personality, but he's always having a conversation with the Emperor, and that might be kind of what it is.
Weird, like
He has a
actually,
flesh
or like
emperor.
an imaginary conversation with.
No. He's made like a life-size statue of the Emperor out of people's flesh and
Why
bones,
was this not
and he
talked
just
about at the
talks
top
to
of
it.
the episode? I know.
He's so lonely.
He's so
He
lonely.
made a
He
statue
has
of
Oh
his
my
daddy
God.
out of his victims.
He has a perfectly good friend right there, a flesh statue. What's he bitching about?
Yeah.
The
It's all
I was
Pilgrim
gonna say
Cult.
it kind of reminds me of another parallel between him and Batman,
Yeah.
because in the bat suit, that's who Bruce Wayne really is Batman.
Yeah.
When he's out at his faking, when Curze is in his armor, he's the Night Haunt. He's the Primarch of the Night Lords. He's this mass killing machine. Out of it, he's still a killing machine, but it's like, oh, this isn't who I am.
Yeah,
I'm so
so
sad.
that's maybe the better way to frame it than a split personality. It's like it's just different versions of himself. I wonder then which version of himself he likes more. Like, does he become the Night Haunter and he's happy and he's savage and laughing, or does he hate that part of him? He kind of.
I'm pretty sure he hates both of them. Like he's constantly saying how much
there's no
he sucks,
self-confidence there
pretty much.
whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Confident with a knife, not confident in himself, I guess.
Sad. All right, well, let's talk about some war gear. Let's talk about the gear. So before his encounter with the Emperor, and the real Emperor, not his weird like flesh doll that he has, which God, Sam, you just like destroyed. Like in my mind, I was like, Konrad's really cool. Like he's got this thing, but like he's like built this totem. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm gonna. It's what it.
Why did you call it a
is.
flesh doll?
Oh, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but that's
We're
so much
talking about
creepier
Konrad
than a
Curze. We can't just say,
statue of
like,
the Emperor or a flesh
a
statue.
lovely statue. No, it has to be flesh something.
I'm not so
Excellently
mad about the flesh.
crafted.
It's the fact you call it a doll. That
It
is
implies-
not the
What
way I
is
would
that?
describe that.
No, you
Plays
know what it
around
makes me
with it,
think
yeah.
of is It's Always Sunny when like Frank makes the like doll mannequin version of Charlie, and he misses Charlie, and he's like, what do you think about that? I don't know, Frank. And he's like got the no one. It's Always Sunny. Okay, yeah, it just makes me think of that a little bit.
Yeah.
I got you.
Anyways, the war gear.
Love it.
The war gear. Before his encounter with the Emperor, Konrad Curze's war gear was a reflection on his unrelenting pursuit of justice and terror. His weapons were brutal, designed to reflect his harsh methods, the savage world of Nostramo from which he hailed. Curze wielded a massive heavy blade, a weapon forged for swift and violent executions, its weight symbolizing both his strength and his commitment to unyielding retribution. His armor, though crude compared to the refined suits of his brothers, was heavily adorned with dark, menacing motifs that reflected his legion's grim purpose. It was a functional but imposing set of plate, meant to withstand the worst of combat and to strike fear into his enemies. Curze was a primarch with the unrelenting focus of a predator, his war gear embodying his belief that brutality was the only way to bring order to the galaxy. His presence on the battlefield was not one of grace or subtlety, but overwhelming force. Following the Emperor's intervention, after Curze had been left to his own devices, his war gear became an extension of his fractured psyche. Stripped of his armor and delusioned with his original purpose, he fought without the ceremonial adornments or the pride he once held in his appearance. Instead, his war gear became something personal, grim tool to be wielded in the face of his torment. His weapons were still fierce, but the gleam of his former certainty had faded. In the absence of his legion's full regalia, Curze was reduced to a more feral figure a man who no longer cared for the image his armor conveyed. His physical state became a reflection of his mental fragility, gaunt, unkempt, and more prone to acts of emotional release rather than strategic warfare. Even his war gear began to show signs of wear, much like the man himself, battered by endless inner conflict and the crushing weight of his own visions. When Curze reclaimed his armor and returned to battle, it was a far darker version than the one he had worn in the past. His once pristine armor, now twisted and jagged, was an extension of the destruction he had wrought on Nostramo, as well as his own inner disarray. The once ornate designs of his legion's markings had become more chaotic, resembling the broken, fractured mind of the primarch. His helmet was a nightmarish visage, grim and terrifying, adorned with sharp edges and jagged features that reflected the same horror he now embodied. The once proud symbol of his legion was now tarnished, a constant reminder of the frayed bond between Curze and the Emperor's vision. His weapons, too, were more brutal blades and tools of war that were less refined, more savage, fitting the man who had fallen so far from his original purpose. Curze's war gear no longer spoke of an idealistic, albeit brutal, force for justice, but of a being who had embraced his darkest prophecies and his inevitable descent into madness and ruin. Yeah. Whew.
I like just that armor just mimics him, like the
Mhm.
fall and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A shadow of his former self.
How's Curze doing today? Yeah,
I kind of want to know what because I've only seen it after that. I don't think I've ever seen it pre.
Yeah, I was thinking that too
blowing
as I
up
was
on the
reading
planet.
it. Yeah.
So that could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, like I'm sure the suit that the Emperor gave him did not look like that, you know.
Yeah, because this one's all spiky and stuff. Like it full on, like you could hit it with anything and it would stab you. Like there's little blades on his legs. And
Yeah, and there was probably definitely a sense of pride that he has once
How
he
did he
was.
get
I'm going to heavily air quote here, saved by the Emperor and brought home, air quotes, in wearing something that was that made him part of something greater. And so wearing that, adorning that armor that he had of the 8th Legion and finding his, brothers, these are all big heavy air quotes here, but and then him being stripped of that and then like adorning new armor that is just like Sam showed, horrific, jagged, monstrous. It's this rebellious reflection upon the Imperium itself. Rad. Very cool.
Yeah.
like with that one as well? Like it has a proper cape, but above the proper cape is the skin cape. So I'm guessing like it used to look way cooler than that, with like gold bits and stuff on it.
All I'm thinking is, we see a lot of skin capes, but they're all white. I want to see some diversity. For once, GW, give me some diversity.
I've seen some that have different skin tones on the cape.
Oh, good for them. Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna go look for them. What are you doing? Oh, I'm looking for different skin tones on the flesh capes at GW.
That's a weird Google search for sure. You go down that road.
You'll have Peter up.
Just jokes, everyone.
I was gonna say, if you watch my YouTube channel, it's not the weirdest thing I've been searching.
It's true.
Yikes.
Okay. We'll get on to the other cool part of this armor, the Nightmare Mantle. Curze's remnant of war was a customized suit of artificer armor, bedecked in grisly trophies of judgment, the flayed skin of those whose sins he saw as particularly egregious or noteworthy.
I don't like that. It means like he has favorites. He's like, yes, this is my favorite skin. You were particularly naughty, weren't you?
What? The sad boy can't have his favorite skin?
Yeah. His
I'm playing Fortnite in real life.
Is it pulling you out of the tragic story for him to keep his favorite
I'm surprised we
skin?
haven't made the connection tonight with him and Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. Come on.
Oh yes,
That's who I picture every time he does
Yes!
his accent.
Oh, really?
Logan. There.
Oh, that was a good one.
It
Yeah.
puts the lotion on its skin, or else it doesn't get to be part of the Patreon for
Yes,
forever again.
yes.
Oh, delightfully.
Okay, we'll talk about his weapons now. Mercy and forgiveness. This pair of murderous, artificer-forged lightning claws, known in origin, of unknown origin, which Curze favored as his personal melee weapons, were given the doleful names Mercy and Forgiveness by the Night Lords. Though what their wielder actually used named them, if anything, remains, as with so much about their master, unknown. And lastly, the Widowmakers. Here we go. Based on the micro-serrated throwing blades utilized for signature kills by certain Nostraman assassin cults, Curze favored the use of these vicious yet highly precise daggers over more conventional firearms in battle, using them to disable and maim as he willed.
This guy's just running around checking knives in the war zone. He's like, better than a pistol. Somebody disagrees with him, knife chuck! And no one disagreed again.
Because it's hard to find ammo when you're just walking around stabbing people.
That is the one thing that's always blown my mind about 40k and why I understand the use of melee weapons in a giant battle. It's like those bolter rounds are huge. You cannot carry that many on your person. Therefore, CQB is clearly the solution.
That and more room for skin capes.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Speaking of skin capes, I found the model that I was thinking of. So the current Archon model on GW's workshop has multiple skin tones from light to darker ones on it,
Yes.
including a face. There's an actual face on this model.
Nice.
So there you go. There's more skin tones in that one.
Gotta love a little diversity, eh? All right. Well, that was the Konrad Curze episode. That was part 1. We learned a lot about him. He had me a couple minutes, but then, yeah, Logan, you're right. You snapped me right out of it.
Hang on, we just need to clip that. Logan, you're right.
You're right.
Just save that, put it somewhere. I'm gonna put that right here, actually, right behind the cryptid thing. I'm gonna put Logan, you're right. Never explain why it's there.
Yeah. You can attribute that to me.
If you do though, like compare him to Angron, like both of them are sad boys in a corner. Like, why is Angron okay, but the Night Lord's not? They're both killing people.
So neither are okay, but no one's glazing Angron like he's such a tragic figure. Like, yes, this is a tragic story, but he's still a psycho. Angron is a psycho, and everyone's like, yeah, psycho! But the Night Lords, for some reason, they're like, you just don't understand. They're doing what they had to do.
He saw his own death. He would do the same if
to
he's
like
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. There's some cool parts in it, some very grim, dark parts as well. But there's some like what's the planet called? Nostramo. Yeah, Nostramo. Very cool place. I like that vision of just like a planet without light and stuff. And like almost the humans there could be a type of abhuman, very minor maybe. I imagine all their eyes are like super dilated to reflect that and stuff.
Oh, they're full on black.
Yeah. There's like the one bit about the Emperor coming in, like literally burns their eyes out type thing, where it's just like, yeah, they've never seen sun, so sure, very cool place, I suppose.
Isn't there a breed? It's a breed of salamanders or oxalotls that have the just black eyes because they're in the caves now. But because my brain thought of the oxalotl, now I'm picturing they all have pink skin, like very pale pink skin.
Yeah, kind of clear.
It's just oxalotl looking dudes.
I don't like that. What was your guys' takeaway from this episode?
I always liked him.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I understand why people like him, and I understand how he can be a tragic figure. So I respect that, but I still think my Nickelodeon villain jokes stand. And it hasn't really moved the needle for me on how I feel about him. Cool, though. I cannot deny he is a cool character. Love the character. Little corny. If you boil it down, it's a little corny.
I think you'd like Civitar more. Civitar's really cool.
It's like their first champion or captain.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Okay.
I think I've seen some stories about him, and I remember, like, I want to read the Night Lord books. I know they're good. I haven't gotten around to them.
I think, like, because he's called, like, the Lord of Crows, which is another really cool.
So sick.
Yeah.
So sick.
And they got the Pale Count, which is another cool name.
Yeah, they're cool. I like their, I'm gonna say vampire, like, it's not totally vampiric, but I like their vampiric aesthetic better than the Blood Angels, because this is more what I think of when I think of vampires, as opposed to the Blood Angels kind of, oh, we're pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Nosferatu vampires versus Twilight vampires.
Yeah.
One's dark and one's gay. Yeah.
I mean, I think I told the story when we did the Lehman Russ episode, but that's how I came into the hobby, was kind of in the middle of the Team Jacob, Team Edward fight, and that's all I heard at the hobby store was Space Wolves are furries and Team Jacob, and the vampire dudes are Team Edward, and it was all nonsense. It was a great time to be alive.
Excellent time to be alive.
Excellent time to be alive. 1010 would recommend being alive.
Like, I think because when I was like really, really into going and playing games, I started with like I think it was just regular Space Wolves, and then everyone made fun of me. Like, fine, I'll go to Blood Angels then, and then everyone made fun of me for that. And then Night Lords, and it's the same thing. Just can't get a break. At least it's not Tal though.
There's no Legion you can play where people will respect you for
True.
anything. I think the only one that I've never heard anyone really make fun of is like the Crimson Fists.
Yeah,
and I don't know why, but people are like, "Oh, Crimson Fists, cool," and they just move on. Everyone else, they have a joke for.
Flesh Terrors are cool too.
Flesh Terrors are cool. It's a cool name too. Flesh Terrors.
Sith.
And they're loyalist. Let's go.
Yeah. Borderline.
Yeah, it would be a weird feast, those guys, to attend with them. I wouldn't want to invite.
They start calling you Horus in the middle of it. You're like,
oh, new mic.
Yeah, Court, something happened in his end game here. Still nothing. So if he jumps in randomly, but we'll try to sort it out. Man, and just when I was looking forward to hearing what you had to say about this episode, but we'll figure it out.
His opinion is so controversial. StreamYard is
Yeah.
just like, no, cut it. Cut his mic.
What's worse is like we got to figure out what this 4 question mark is in the notes that I added.
Yeah, true.
No.
Yeah.
All right, the live stream stays on. This is now a marathon.
It's a marathon.
24 hours.
Oh man.
I'll call out of work. My boss isn't here this week. Let's go. I'm gonna send her the clip later. Let's go.
I'm not wearing a diaper, but I'll make sacrifices. Let's go.
I'm not wearing a diaper, but I'll
You just blame it on the kid. That's what having kids is good.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, I can just see your wife like, what happened? Oh, our 7-month daughter took a man-sized dump in my chair.
In my chair,
the
separate house.
Yeah, the separate house. She walked.
She walked.
Yeah, it was a miracle.
She walked. I've never seen, but she walked in. I was so excited. I got up. She climbed in my chair to give me a hug.
Took a shit
and she
instead.
just took a dump, and I didn't see it, so I sat in it, and that's why I'm all messy. It was so bad. It's what happened, babe.
I think they call it a diaper blowout, but I had it all over me.
Yeah.
Well, this is one way to kill time while waiting for court. That's for sure. I got another way though. We could do our end notes real quick, and then we'll still wait for them. Because I definitely got to know what the fuck.
Yeah, what the 4 things?
Yeah.
Snake,
killing me.
snake. I think it was.
Yeah. First end note, Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast. Come check me out. I read your homebrew lore. I haven't recorded in so long. I do too many Lorehammer main episodes, but like I've said many times, that show's not over till I hit 500, and we'll get there one day.
Yeah, and if you think I'm funny, and somebody does, come check me out on YouTube at Hydra Thoughts. I've got a series about cryptids in America, which will probably go international at some point. Videos about some mysteries that are going on, and some history stuff. So come on, check me out. Like, subscribe, comment. Have a good time.
Yeah. We were talking just earlier today, me and you, about just calling guests and sharing spooky stories or something.
Yeah. It's growing at a decent pace.
Yeah.
When we get up to certain milestones, that's definitely something I want to do. Is probably drop something in the Discord because I see you guys in there a lot, and just have people on and chat with them about stories and stuff they've had happen to them.
The world is a weird place, man, and like, yikes, yeah.
It really is. I mean, even one of my subscribers, because I did one about Nebraska, and he told a story about when he was in Nebraska. He was standing near a cemetery and he kept seeing something out of the corner of his eye, but he could never like look to see what was there. And that's especially freaky because your peripheral vision picks up movement long before your primary vision does. So if the peripherals are picking up movement, there probably was something moving. And when he went to look, he never could find it. So
I don't like that.
I saw that too. Like I had a similar thing. There's like this old road that the samurai used to use where I work, and like they pretty much just built another road through it, but the actual road's still there. And I thought I'll just have a walk, go see what's around. There was like a whole lot of bones on the ground, and then on the way home in the car, I kept seeing like this white thing just running on the side. I'm not sure what that was, but yeah, I see some stuff.
Yeah,
I hear Japan's pretty spooky like that. Yeah,
the yokai thing. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Okay, well, what's that next end note? Hey, yo, Ursats, you do all my Lorehammer posts, which is fucking incredible. So if anyone's ever wondering who the fuck makes all those, it's Ursats. Some of them have been pretty funny. You were doing the food of the Imperium one time, and then all of a sudden corpse starch, and just some fun jokes.
As you do. I did a whole thing on powder found in the Imperium, corpse starch, Thousand Suns.
Yes.
Blown up humans after power fists. I've done a few now. There's some interesting stuff. I think now's Tau ships.
Nice.
I did the Imperium ships. Tau ships, there's a whole lot more than I thought there was.
I've always liked just like the one paragraph teasers that GW kind of makes, or kind of you find them in codexes or little lore blurbs that they're perfectly summarized, and you do a good job of making your own.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to make as well, like having the photos from those old codexes as well, because now like fifth edition, 4th, 3rd, you can find all the PDFs pretty easy.
Yeah,
it's always good bit of fun looking through that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay, so we're just killing a couple minutes. The court restarts. He left, but he will be back. Anyone have a fun story or perhaps a knock-knock joke to make? I guess we could do a call-in real quick. I guess that's part of the show that we do. Maybe that's what we should do. Okay, let's do a call-in.
Chuck Jackson.
Yeah. I was like, you can't do Jax like this. He has to chime in here.
Well, that lucky boy, it was his 18th birthday last week, so he's coming on tomorrow's episode. So Lorehammer.
Are we singing him happy birthday now or tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe right now. Let's see if anyone pops in here. We got a mega. Oh yeah, there he is. Who could disappoint?
Yep,
on a Night Lord episode.
Hold on, let me real
Welcome,
quick.
Jax.
There we go. Perfect.
It's just okay. We got some people. Okay. So here we all are. Court, how do we sound?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh!
Super echo, but yes, we hear you.
Okay.
It's better than nothing.
Okay. Well, I'll tweak things. Jax, you're here. Good to see you. Do your thing. I will tweak as you guys go.
Happy birthday.
Curse.
So Jax, you have.
Yes.
Oh God. You have one sentence to sell me before tomorrow's episode. What is it?
Curse. He's a misunderstood guy, but at the end of the day, he's a psychopath, and everybody loves a psychopath.
Everyone likes the bad boy. Yeah. Okay, that's where.
Why can't I ever get a chance with the girls?
That hair flip. God damn.
He's got it down.
For the Patreon people, you can watch me flip my gorgeous hair.
Yeah, fucking.
Improve points.
Does he scalp? Because, man, I think he'd like to scalp you, that Curze guy.
Probably.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know.
Punctuating sentences with hair flip.
He likes skin, but I don't know if he collects here.
Gosh, Dad, I'm so misunderstood.
Oh, hang on.
Uh,
It's long enough. I can also do the emo hair. It's
I-
just annoying, and my wife hates it. But there we go.
oh yeah, that's
My parts kind of ruin it for me because I had it parted before. But hang on. See, audio listeners, you can see me go. What's up?
yikes. That is a way to live. Yeah, no, I don't. Yikes.
You don't understand me.
Oh,
So what? You're gonna
gosh.
go? You're gonna go start flaying people or something because you got a bad haircut? Is that your excuse now?
This haircut's peak. I don't know what you're talking about. You
That
just
voice-
don't understand
I
me.
hate it.
Makes me want to kill you. Makes me want to flay you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Jax, anything else? There's other call-ins we'll get to, I think. One other one. Any other thoughts? He's muted.
Are you talking to
It's
me?
gone. Going once.
No,
going
I
twice.
can hear you.
Yeah, Jax, you.
Oh,
You got any thoughts? What are you thinking?
I've been waiting.
You called me.
You called us.
Now I'm here now. I'm inside walls now. Just like Curze on the line ship, but I've been waiting 4 years for this episode. Curze and Lorehammer brought me into this pod. Jesus Christ, sorry. Curze and Lorehammer brought me into Warhammer, just in general. And I'll be damned if I don't see a collab between these finally great characters of you guys and a psychopath.
Yeah, I was cringing a couple times. I enjoyed a couple parts. Some fun jokes.
Well, while we have Jax, let me do the big reveal because I was so pissed that my mic cut out. And what it was actually my Digio 3 interface. So guys, at the top of the episode, and Jax, you're here for this too. I predicted, this was my Konrad Curze visionary foresight.
Oh, the vision.
Okay. I predicted 4 times that this would happen in the episode. But in fact, it happened 6.5. Okay.
Curious.
Now the 0.5 is because it was self-acknowledgement. But here's what happened. At the top of this episode, I was like, someone is going to fuck up multiple times and say Konrad Curze. Someone's going to say Curze multiple times. And it's not Curze, because every time someone's like, Konrad Curze. I'm like, that's not it. And I remember listening to old school Lorehammer episodes, and you guys would call him Konrad Curze, and all I could envision was like Tom Cruise with big lightning claws.
Yes.
So
it'd be a great
not
movie.
4 times. Yeah.
Why is he so mad and violent? Because he's short.
Yeah, he's just running all the time.
Good Konrad.
So
he's just hiding from his victims. We
Curze
hear bum bum bum
was
bum
said. Curze was said 6.5 times in this episode instead of Curze. So the 0.5 though goes to Logan because he did acknowledge. He said, before this, I wasn't aware enough to call him Curze. I would call him Curze. So that was the 0.5. So gentlemen, I did lose the Price is Right because it was over, but we did it.
But
6.5.
over is better than under, I think, in these types of situations.
Wow.
I don't know why
Lost
that was
the Price is Right.
Really weird.
That
Lost.
doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Anyways, well done.
All right, let's kick Jax out of here. Adios, Jax. See you tomorrow. Where
Happy
you can tell me
birthday.
all
Thank
about
you.
it.
Happy birthday! Is his birthday?
Happy birthday.
Was last
from
week.
last week.
Yeah.
Last
Oh
Friday.
shit! Happy
He's
birthday,
18
man.
now.
Thanks.
Happy
He's a
birthday!
This is the
man
greatest
now.
birthday present ever. I gotta say.
We'll get Trench Crusade game. We'll get Trench Crusade game soon. I work a lot. I
Busy
work
guy.
a lot. So
He's a busy
there.
guy.
All is
Not very
forgiven.
hard, but he does work
Yeah,
a
a
lot.
lot, but it's not hard.
All right. We got time for one more guest here. Let's get Hottie on the line. Give me a quick nod. if you're ready.
Yeah.
I know it's Hot D, but every time you say that, I think you're saying Hottie. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it almost sounds like I'm
Ooh.
saying a slur of sorts, but I'm like, no, me never.
Yo. What's
Hey,
up?
how are we? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
good.
How are
good,
you?
man. Like, I can't believe it's taken so long for me to call in. I've been working nights for a few, I was gonna say weeks. It's been months now. But I just don't check my
Oh.
Discord. when I'm working, and I thought, you know what, tonight I'm gonna do it. So yeah, like
You're the night haunter.
Yeah.
No.
no,
Are you
mate,
Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Why are you Tom
like a
Cruise?
corporate overlord.
Well,
Same
so
thing.
did Conrad
there you go.
Curze.
Got to keep those adamantium mines flowing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I need to buy more hobby stuff. Like, yeah. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
So, you're a fan of Konrad? Do you like him?
ish. So definitely after this episode, I think he's better. Like, I've got a better opinion of him. Like, not in the sense of, what he did was acceptable, but as a character, I think he's a really interesting character. Before, like, I literally fell into the trap of, he's just an emo that likes to skin people. Like, but now seeing, like, he reached out to his brothers and was ignored. He reached out, the Emperor basically just tweaked him. Like, he literally, the fact that you see him go from being like quite a proud looking guy to just becoming sort of like a hollowed out version of himself. Like, I mean, war takes its toll. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures of the guys before they went to World War, I think, 2 and afterwards. And like they come back and they're like husks, like they got sunken eyes and everything. Like, I get that, but obviously all the other primarchs, like, they don't really look any different. They take it on and they're like, this is what I'm born to do. Whereas Curze, even though like he's such a madman and so good at killing, it obviously takes its toll. Like, psychologically, he is not good. He is not in good shape.
Yeah.
I think that reaching out to the brothers part that's the sad part of it all, man. One of the saddest moments in all of 40K, man. Like,
Yeah, but
fuck, you reach out and no one's
but it's
there.
like when he predicts that the Horus Heresy is going to happen. I couldn't help but think of Star Wars when Count Dooku says to Obi-Wan, he says, "What if I told you, like, there was already a Sith Lord in control?" And Obi-Wan's like, "Nah, that can't happen." And it's like, if you'd all just listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some double nerding
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
We're like 7 years.
I know.
I mean, I still love the salamanders, but yeah, my friend painted this for me.
Nice.
He free-handed it all.
Tight.
But yeah, I definitely, if I went
great.
into Horus Heresy, the game, I think I'd be torn between Night Lords, and I think I'd be torn between Iron Warriors. Because in 40K, I love chaos. I love like the whole, worshipping the chaos, being absolutely badass. Although I play Black Legion, I kind of do like Angron, Fulgrim, all that. But in 30K, I prefer the Renegades, where they're like, we don't really want to worship the gods, but we kind of want to fuck the Imperium up, so we'll win you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chaos can be fun,
exactly. I mean, my life is chaos, and I'm still here, so
just go with it.
I have one more thing to say before I drop. Like, I am so glad I signed up to the Patreon, and I ask everyone else to, who listens, just chuck you a couple of bucks, because if it means I get more content, then I'm happy. It keeps me going throughout the night when I work from home, so I literally, it's silent all night. I go out for a fag and I can just hear like foxes and birds and stuff, and it's like completely silent. So having you guys playing in the background, if that means I get more content, I'm more than happy to pay.
Dude, well, I'm honored to be in your ear for that many hours each night, just whispering softly to you.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
I love it. Very cool. I always think about if everyone just gives $1, man, that strap me in. 10 episodes a week, 20. What do you want from me? No.
Is this your full-time job?
I've been very lucky. I run an Airbnb. I hustle electrician jobs when I want.
Dances on the side.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I just make money however I can.
Nah, fair play. I've got.
But no, I have not had a conventional job in many years, thankfully, because of the support of this show. I've been incredibly blessed.
That's the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a wild trip now too, talking to people like Rick Priestley or Jervis Johnson, like these people that I grew up as 11-year-old reading their names and shit, now talking to, and like
Yeah.
fucking crazy times.
Long, quite far away
Jervis
from
is
you
this-
screaming at Eric.
Yeah.
Like,
What a world! What a world!
those episodes were just classic, though. It's like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
There's some threats one time, yeah, for sure. But this episode's going late. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. Any closing thoughts by any of the other guests here?
I was gonna say with the Patreon too. Recently, the old Discord chat for the Patreon is usually has more stuff going on than the regular general chat as well.
Yeah.
So.
That's true, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
I also, full disclosure, I think a lot of the people that are on the show check those channels more than the general channels. So
Yeah, that's
definitely a better way to get in touch with us.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, that's an episode. We'll see you all on the next one. And we already did an ed note, so adios and have a good night.
Yeah.
Later.